your home for Kings talk and so much more.
Live and local.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
Yes, we have made it. You know, when you go to NBA.com and you look up the important dates, you got the finals. You got the opening day of the season. You got the first day of the playoffs. You got the in-season tournament. You got the lottery. You got MLK Day. You got Christmas. And what else do you got? The NBA draft, which is tonight. Well, it's not tonight for the Kings. At least not yet. The Kings will be picking tomorrow, earlier in the second round. But we don't know what's going to happen. I'll quote a Sacramento great or a future Sacramento great. My phone has been ringing incessantly this morning with a lot of information that we want to share with all of you within the next 4 hours, and then hand you over to the fully loaded Drive Guys. Shout out to the Drive Guys, Whitey Gleason back. That energy was outstanding yesterday, and I was really excited to kind of listen to them and their reunion. That's the one thing about taking vacations, right? There's a little party that's excited to get back. I saw Whitey very active on social media, on X, on Twitter, excited to get back in the chair, and they did not disappoint yesterday. And we ain't going to disappoint you as we take you up to 2 p.m. because there's a lot to talk about. Zach LaVine and the path that we may see. Now, that doesn't mean that you necessarily want to keep Zach LaVine. I'm just saying there is a path for a more palatable contract. And when you look at what Fred VanVleet just signed for, even though that was a team option, you look at what Kyrie just signed for last night, even though that was a player option, somewhere in the middle, there is a path to keep Zach LaVine. I'm not saying I want to do that. I'm not saying you, the listener, want to do that. I'm just saying that there is a path to feel better about what you're paying Zach LaVine. The reality is you could just let Zach LaVine walk after the season with the player option. That's the reality. Or you could trade him because it's an expiring contract. But we have those paths for you. Obviously, like I talked about, what will happen on NBA draft night. The Kings, as we reported late last week, the Kings, and again, things could have changed since then, but I was listening to the Carmichael Dave show this morning, and yeah, they'd have to feel either really good about someone or get a deal that they believe has really good value. But you get to a situation like this, I think you should be looking at someone specifically and seeing if that person starts to slip and being opportunistic. We might not see something until the draft starts, because I believe that at this point in time, when you're kicking a trade or kicking a draft down the road and you're deciding you're going to give up a pick, a future pick, that's because somebody that you really like is still there, right? You're not going to go Niners and say, we're just going to trade up and see what happens. One of them will work, and then you take the one that might be in Canada this coming season, or in the Arena Football League at XFL. Then you take that guy. So you're not doing that. It's we believe that if this person is available, maybe it's Walter Clayton Jr. I've heard Walter Clayton Jr. is a name that the Kings are interested in, but he's a name a lot of people are interested in. He was the darling of the Final Four. There's always somebody interested in the darling. And when you look at the Kings of the past, is anybody scared of the Walter Clayton Jr. thing? Right? Haven't we seen this movie before with the Walter Clayton Jr. thing? Let's go get the Cinderella. Let's go get the darling of the draft. That's what I'm not saying this is the wrong thing to do, because Steph Curry was the darling of the draft. Obviously, different situation. But sometimes the darling of the draft, the darling of the March Madness, they work out. But it seems like whenever the Kings take the darling of March Madness, doesn't work out in the same way. So is anybody scared about the Walter Clayton Jr.? Go get the darling of March Madness. That's the sure thing. No, it's not. No, it's not. We know that now. We've seen it. It could work, but it's not a sure thing. So don't go out there and get Walter Clayton Jr. because he was the darling of March Madness. Davion Mitchell was the darling. That whole Baylor team was the darling of March Madness. And that didn't work out, at least not in the way that a lot of people thought. And that was a lot higher of a pick than the 20th or 21st. So if you like Walter Clayton Jr., you better have liked him the whole time, right? And obviously the scouting, the scouting teams that all of these NBA teams have, you've been looking at these guys the whole time. But people like you and me that are filling out brackets, and then Florida bursts your bracket, and you say, man, what the heck is going on? Who's this Walter Clayton Jr. guy? Yeah, don't draft like that. And I would hope the Kings are not drafting like that. But if he's your guy, he's your guy. There's other names, okay? Now, one thing I wanted to get into is this Dennis Schroder report. And the Dennis Schroder report from Mark Stein that they are, the Kings are already being painted as a likely leading suitor for Dennis Schroder when free agency begins. Okay, the Stein line has learned. That's what Mark Stein put out last night. Kings, oh my gosh, no. I remember seeing text, Allen, for the love of God, please stop talking about Dennis Schroder. It wasn't me. It's not that I wanted to talk about Dennis Schroder, but you got to be able to connect some X's and O's. Some of my stuff is sourced. Some of it is just reading tea leaves, right? Let's think about this for a second. So Walter Clayton Jr. is your guy. Let's say you're driving around in your car right now. And by the way, shout out to all the people I met yesterday. River Cats are back. They're taking on the AAA. Now they're now the Oklahoma City Comets. Okay, they didn't even have a name the last couple. They were the Oklahoma City Baseball Club. Oklahoma City Comets. So AAA for the Dodgers. So a bunch of Dodger fans in the building. Screw them. Thank you for coming out. But screw them. It was a lot of fun, and we got a lot of stuff going the rest of the week. So you're driving around, and I met some people that say they listen to the show. You know who you are. So shout out to you. You're driving around in your car, okay, and you say, Walter Clayton Jr., that's my guy. I don't want Dennis Schroder. I don't want him. Why not both? Why not both, okay? Because here's what we know. Walter Clayton Jr. is 22 years old. You have to make that jump into the NBA, right? And we all watched him, but we all know that the NBA, it ain't the G League, let alone college basketball. So Walter Clayton Jr. could be your guy. Dennis Schroder does not affect that. Tyus Jones does not affect that. The same conversation we've had with Jonathan Kuminga, a lot of Jonathan Kuminga news coming out, by the way. Things could get messy. That was the quote, according to Ramona Shelburne, if he wants to kind of gum up the Warriors' plans. But we talked about how Jonathan Kuminga, now I get it, it's a different position, but 22 years old, what the hell does Domantas Sabonis and Zach LaVine, and if you keep DeMar DeRozan, what the hell do they want with a 22-year-old Jonathan Kuminga? Any combination of those three. What do they want with a 22-year-old Jonathan Kuminga?
Frankly, insane.
The timelines don't add up. We're going Thanos here. Infinity Stones. The timelines don't add up. Now, let's talk about Walter Clayton Jr. Obviously, he's a point guard, and the Kings do need a point guard. But I do not see a world where the Kings say, no, we don't really have a point guard on the team. I know somebody's typing Devin Carter right now, and we will read that off in about 5 minutes. We don't have a point guard on this team. But we're going to solve that problem with a 22-year-old who has never dribbled a basketball in the NBA. And we're also going to try to sell to our fans that we are competing at a high level and trying to be successful at a high level and make the playoffs. Those things don't make sense. So when I read this Dennis Schroder news, and when I read that Tyus Jones news, unless they sign Dennis Schroder to a 3-4 year deal, or Tyus Jones to a 3-4 year deal, this doesn't affect anything. You're not signing this. Look, things are different when they decide that they are going to say uncle. When the Kings decide to say uncle, then yeah, go get Walter Clayton and let that brother play 40 minutes a night. But that's not what they've told us. So because that's not what they've told us, now that we've understood that, going and getting Dennis Schroder should not annoy anyone. It should not annoy you. Let me rephrase that. It should not annoy you if you want to take a big swing, right? or excuse me, it should annoy you if you want to take a big swing, but it should not annoy you if you are in the midst of a draft war room and you're looking at Walter Clayton and Jace Richardson. It should not annoy you. Dennis Schroder has nothing to do with those guys unless they sign him for even a 2-year deal is fine. 3 years, 4 years, something insane. Dennis Schroder has nothing to do with Walter Clayton Jr., any of the point guards that the Kings may want because of the timeline. Now, it should annoy you, and we'll talk about this because as of right now, Kristaps Porzingis is an Atlanta Hawk. So it should annoy you if you wanted to go get Ja Morant, if you wanted to go get Trae Young, then maybe yes, then it should annoy you. But if you're upset at the Kings about Dennis Schroder, it should not be because you believe it affects what they're going to do in the draft. Because if they like a point guard, I do not, I've only talked to Scott Perry kind of in passing, social media, things like that. But I do not believe that signing Dennis Schroder is going to, and I haven't talked to BJ Armstrong. We're working on some things, by the way. I do not believe that will affect how they view this draft. Dennis Schroder, think of Dennis Schroder as Sam Darnold. Think of Dennis Schroder as whatever the hell is going on with the New York Giants. Russell Wilson and/or Jameis Winston. That's what Dennis Schroder is. That's what Tyus Jones is. I know Tyus Jones is a little younger. Like I said, if they sign him to a 3-4 year deal, then God help us, number one. And number two, yes, be very annoyed. But I don't foresee that happening. Teams have more than one point guard. The Kings don't, but most teams do. Now, when you look at other guys' ability to handle the basketball, we've gone from Malik Monk, he's not a point guard, to Malik Monk, he can still handle the basketball. He can still do some things. So, yeah, maybe now you have Malik Monk. Now you have Dennis Schroder. Now you have either Keon or Devin, maybe both of them. Yeah, you still have 3 guys that maybe you're hindering Keon's ability or Devin's ability to improve as a playmaker, but it kind of feels like something that we've seen before when it comes to this point guard playmaking thing. Okay, and shout out to the pitchers all over the world. And I'm going to bring it back to baseball. The pitchers that, man, this guy's a closer, this guy's a reliever. Let's try him as a starter. And it just doesn't hit the same. They're just better as a reliever, right? You need them to spot start every now and then. That's fine. But they're not starters, okay? And they're best served as closers or relievers. That's what we kind of feel like we've seen here. Jordan Hicks with the Giants. They tried to start him. They tried. He's better as a reliever. Doesn't mean he stinks as a starter, but he's better as a reliever. That's what we just kind of watched with Malik Monk. And we will have plenty of time to talk about Devin Carter. We got 4 hours with you, and you're in the middle of a 30-minute set. No commercials here. We do it at the top of every hour if you're just not listening. Thank you for listening. We've talked about Devin Carter before. I'll tell you this much, and I'll be honest. I watched Devin Carter's tape after the draft because I did not think the Kings were going to draft a guard. But go watch Devin Carter's tape and tell me that he looks like a point guard. If we believe that Malik Monk is more of a point guard, and when they tried to put him in that position, it didn't work out. Obviously, Malik is older than Devin Carter, but we were from a better starting point with Malik, and they still need help. So that's my Devin Carter conversation. When it comes to Allen, we saw somebody yesterday on the Sack Chat. We'll look at the Thunder with Lou Dort and Caruso. It's different. The Thunder have Jalen Williams can handle the basketball. And he's, 6'6", whatever the hell he is. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander can handle the basketball. And he's big as hell too. So you can have guards that don't handle the basketball because you're making up for it somewhere. You're making up for it somewhere. Okay, let's talk about the Celtics. Well, the Celtics, they have all these guys Jason Tatum handles the basketball. Okay? Drew Holiday is a point guard. He is a defensive-minded point guard, but he is a point guard. So you can have Drew Holiday and Derek White and Jason Tatum all out there at the same time. It's not about Devin Carter hate. It's about roster construction. And right now, based on how the Kings are constructed, you cannot have Malik Monk, Keon Ellis, and Devin Carter, in my opinion, on that roster. It's not as bad as having, we have the conversation about DeRozan, Zach LaVine, and Malik Monk. It's not as bad as having those three on the roster, but it's a similar version to that as of right now. Now, you can make moves and say, Allen, they went out and got so-and-so. Can they keep the three of them, the three amigos now, the three shooting guards now? Sure. But I'm talking about as presently constructed. That's why these conversations are being brought up. So as it pertains to the Dennis Schroder conversation, the Tyus Jones conversation, do not be annoyed if you are big on somebody in the draft. I do not believe that the Kings are operating in the presence of mind of, now we have Dennis Schroder, we don't need a point guard. I do not believe they're operating like that. They're operating under the guise of, like we talked about yesterday, Domantas Sabonis is nearly 30. Zach LaVine is nearly 30. Malik Monk, this is a set of timelines. So we are going to help this timeline right now. We can go get our guy of the future because he's 22 years old. By the time he's starting to hit his stride, I don't know where Domantas Sabonis is going to be. We'll talk about what Jason Anderson was on the afternoon show yesterday, and that he had more to say today as it pertains to Domantas Sabonis and DeMar DeRozan, which we know about the DeMar DeRozan stuff. So they have to start to look towards the future as well. But that does not mean that the future is now. That does not mean that the Walter Clayton Jr.'s of the world, hey, just throw them on in there. And then we're going to try to you would be pissed off. You as a fan would say, so there's a 22-year-old point guard that is legitimately going to get his first time in Vegas, and he's going to be our starting point guard in the NBA, in the Western Conference. That wouldn't jive with you. So don't be upset about Dennis Schroder or Tyus Jones. That's separate. Stopgap. Sam Darnold. Just say that's Sam Darnold. Just say that's Geno Smith. Hopefully Geno Smith in a dome because he's about to cook out there in Vegas. Stop playing with my guy. Chip Kelly, where we at? That's what we're dealing with right now. So a lot of people were upset when they saw the Dennis Schroder news and, oh my gosh, here we go again. Well, we knew this was here we go again. We knew they weren't starting over. They told us that. Doesn't mean that they won't start over eventually with Scott Perry at the helm, but we knew they weren't starting over going into 2025, 2026. So with that being said, Dennis Schroder, Tyus Jones, makes sense. It makes sense. So we'll break down all of that. And we'll also get into, like I said, what Jason Anderson had to say. Here is the quote. The Kings are expected to explore trades for DeMar DeRozan, a six-time All-Star who averaged 22.2 points, 3.9 rebounds, and 4.4 assists this season while shooting 47% from the field and 32.8, we'll round up to 33% from the three-point range. DeRozan has 2 years and $50.5 million remaining on a 3-year contract he signed with Sacramento last summer. He is owed $24.8 next season and $25.7 million in 2027. Sacramento could also test the market for Domantas Sabonis. By the way, and like I said, we're taking you up to 30 minutes. By the way, I was on Spa Track yesterday. I was on Spa Track and I was reading all of the caveats because, Kyle, you've continued to say that money for DeMar DeRozan, not this coming year, but next year, isn't guaranteed.
Yep.
I cannot wait to read what those circumstances are for DeMar DeRozan to get that money because I was fascinated. I don't know that I had ever sat there and just broke down everything that would have to go right for the Kings in order for DeMar DeRozan to get that money. So I can't wait to read that to everyone because I'm not going to say it's funny because it could happen, but it's not funny. So we'll break that down as well. Like we talked about the Dennis Schroder news coming out and who the Kings are interested in heading into the draft. We're on high alert. Kyle's refreshing. I got my notifications on in case something comes through for the Kings.
Trade deadline day.
Yeah. It's an exciting day here, and the summer, and it wasn't even that hot. Yesterday, last night, some people had blankets at the River Kitties game. So, it's perfect weather where we're leading up to 4th of July. So it's a beautiful day out here. That's right, in Sacramento. Obviously, we'll talk about the draft, and the Ace Bailey stuff is insane. I honestly don't know where this dude wants to play. Now he came out and said, I don't want to play. So we said, okay, you don't want to play for the Sixers because they already have dudes, and you want to go to a team that stinks. It is being reported now he says he doesn't want to play for the Hornets or the Jazz. I think he's just positioning he wants to go to the Wizards. I think that's what he's trying to do. Or
Brooklyn.
Right.
Which obviously he's from New York.
Exactly. Shout out Rutgers, and they stunk, but, they had some buzz out there, and Ace Bailey, Paul George is saying, he's back on the podcast B, and Paul George is saying this dude is handling it in a completely terrible fashion. Who else is handling things in not the best fashion at all? Josh Kroenke, owner of the Nuggets, said some things that actually, since the Luka conversation has happened, anything is possible. Just like Kevin Garnett said, anything is possible. And Kroenke, Nobody at all, not a single soul. Please don't say what you're about to say. Kroenke got up on the podium and essentially said, we don't want to trade Jokic, but, this second apron, anything is possible. So we have that audio for you, and it's just incredible that we're here. The second apron, it's really just, I think it's been an excuse for certain teams, but I think legitimately, I guess it's doing its job. If its job was to, again, going back to Thanos, just destroy and keep the perfect parity of the NBA.
It's a hard cap unless you're willing to do it for 1 year and then just completely bottom out.
And y'all didn't think I didn't see that news, huh? You didn't think you didn't think I saw. Now, this is just from Kevin O'Connor. Kevin O'Connor might still be hating because De'Aaron Fox was a King, and Kevin O'Connor famously or infamously can't stand the Kings. But Kevin O'Connor says that the Spurs have a decision to make tonight, and that decision might end with the movement of De'Aaron Fox. Dylan Harper, again, death taxes, and De'Aaron Fox in point guard debates. Okay, and point guard tough decisions. So Kevin O'Connor is I don't know if it's essentially a report or more of his thought process, but do the Spurs have an appetite to bring on somebody that they really like? This is the same conversation. Somebody that they really like when they have to pay De'Aaron. That's the whole reason. And that would be incredible if he does not sign with the Spurs. Somehow it would still make the Kings look bad, but today's not the day for that. Actually, it might be. But the reports are out about what the Spurs might do. It is going to be one show that you do not want to miss. 4 hours with you. We know you're running around. We know you're dropping off the kids at summer camp, and they're going to be the next Mike Trout. We know that you're dropping off the kitties and the dogs at the vet. We got you for the next 4 hours. Chime in if you want to be a part of the conversation, 916-339-1140. Shout out to the Sac Chat YouTube if you want to be a part of that community. We are rocking and rolling there as well. When we return, we will get to those notes that I wanted to lay out for everyone on the DeMar DeRozan contract. Also, we break down this Dennis Schroder report connected to the Kings. Allen Stiles, Tech on Sports.
Oh, and that's a hard foul. Let's listen for the call on the floor.
The taxpayer owes back taxes. Penalties and interest are assessed and wage garnishments to begin immediately.
The IRS never misses that call. I wonder if they will challenge it.
The call is under review.
Priority Tax Relief has been called in for a review. Priority is the best in the business at negotiating your tax debt and has even eliminated the debt for some clients. Priority Tax Relief is saving their clients millions of dollars every month.
After a careful review from Priority Tax Relief, The debt has been eliminated. No foul on the play.
Whoa! That completely changes the game, folks.
If you owe more than $5,000, call Priority Tax Relief, and in minutes they'll review your case for free with a direct line to the IRS to see if you qualify for life-changing relief. No more worrying about wage garnishments or frozen bank accounts. Call Priority Tax Relief today at 800-899-2289. That's 800-899-2289.
We make your tax relief our priority.
Call now. Priority Tax Relief.
Free wellness, red light therapy, infrared trim pot, cold plunge, halotherapy, massage, cryotherapy, sunbeds, and more. All services all week, all customers free during Wellness Week at California Sun Wellness Spas. No sign-up required. Walk-ins welcome. Free at all California Sun Wellness Spa locations. This week only. CaliforniaSun.com.
If you're not looking for a brand new car, at Elk Grove Honda, we've acquired some of the best pre-owned cars we can find. We've kept only the best of our trades, and our buyer has found some of the finest pre-owned Hondas available in Northern California. You can see for yourself at elkgrovehonda.com. Whether you purchase a brand new Honda or a like-new pre-owned Honda, your car buying experience will be the same. We have the right Honda at the right price. You'll find us in the Elk Grove Auto Mall, Highway 99 and Elk Grove Boulevard.
I gotta get an Elk Grove Honda.
Get ready for a night out with Jordan Davis. It's Country in the Park 2, Saturday, September 13th at Cal Expo. Along with special guests Mitchell Tenpenny, Low Cash, Vincent Mason, and Averyana. Make it a family day out with food trucks, games, dancing, and more. Saturday, September 13th at Cal Expo with Hoblit Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center. Tickets and info at CITPFest.com.
Finally, an easy way to find home improvement contractors. Just visit subcontractorsunited.com and simplify your search for home services professionals. From cabinets to windows, roofing to plumbing, Subcontractors United is an easy, simple way to find and hire a home improvement contractor. And you never have to give up personal information. So no harassing phone calls like you get from those other websites. Subcontractorsunited.com is sponsored by D&D Cabinets and Savage Design.
Hey, it's Mike Rohn. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guys, and I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month, but what I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia, I got a tour of their headquarters, I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Switch today and save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Sacramento Rivercats baseball celebrates July 3rd at Sutter Health Park with the Independence Eve extravaganza presented by Budweiser. Join us for baseball, fireworks, and fun for all ages. Grab your July 3rd Rivercats tickets at rivercats.com.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
Never go full Carmichael Dave. That's just a life rule. But I gotta say, and today, right now is not the time for it. But I gotta say, I have been on a cold streak when it comes to this customer service stuff. I complained about the mocktail stuff time and time again. We're supposed to get a grill delivered. All I want to do is be washed up and be a father on the grill. And they were supposed to deliver it yesterday. I'm not going to say who because I'm not taking money out of people's pockets. But if you guess, I won't deny it. Well, I probably will.
No,
I'll give you a hint. If you guess correctly, I'll give you a hint. But they were supposed to deliver it yesterday. My wife works from home, but she's got a ton of meetings. They say between 7 and, I don't know, it was 7 and 2 p.m., right? Or it was outside of whatever realm she had locked in. The guy says it's taking long, yada, yada. Long story short, the grill is still not there. As of if I don't have my grill by the 4, and now I'm thinking, now it's time to complain. I'm a Yelper. I don't care. Judge me if you want. Okay?
Don't be that guy.
We pay this money. We need it delivered. You offer a service. Follow through on the service, man. I honestly, because I went from here to I had to do a live stream, and then after that I went straight to River Kitties. I got home this morning, and I'm looking this morning. I'm like, where's the grill? Where's the grill? Said, oh, yeah, they had to change times, and then I had a meeting, and it's always, it's always them expecting things. Give me a break, man.
So your problem is, even though they've communicated that it's going to be late, you just had an expectation that it should be there.
Well, I need something free. Now I need something. I need a gift card. I need something.
At least it's not lost. At least they're telling you, hey.
No. It's there. They got to put the thing together.
Wait.
We paid for them to deliver it and assemble it. They've delivered it, and now they need to come assemble it.
Oh, so it's just sitting there?
It's just sitting in my garage.
What? That's crazy.
So
all it is just they need people. They just need the labor to come out and do it.
That's right. And before someone can say, Alan, do it yourself. No, that's what I paid for. Okay? 916-339-1140. We'll talk about it more a little bit later. Kyle, we pulled up these caveats and contract notes, we should say, for DeMar DeRozan. And we're about to talk about Dennis Schroder and everything that could happen tonight. But I wanted to spend a little bit of time on this DeMar DeRozan stuff because it's pretty fascinating what it is. So here's some of the contract notes. So in 2025, 2026, everything is pretty much normal, okay? Then you get to 2026, 2027, only $10 million are guaranteed. $12 million is guaranteed if he makes an all-star team in 2025 or 2026. So I believe this is the last season for him to do it.
Yeah,
it would have been this past season or this season.
2025 has already happened.
Right. So if he makes the all-star team this upcoming season, it bumps up to $12 million. He gets $14 million guaranteed if he makes an all-star team, and fully guaranteed if he makes it, or they make the NBA Finals and he plays at least 60 regular season games.
Yes, which the second one is $14 million if he makes the all-star team in both years, which obviously can't happen anymore because he didn't make it this year. So $12 million if he makes the all-star team next year.
Yes.
Fully guaranteed if the Kings or whatever team he's on makes the NBA Finals.
Right.
And he plays in at least 60 regular season games. Or it just becomes fully guaranteed 40% of the way through the third year, which...
Right. If we haven't traded you by January 10th, 2027, you'll get the rest of the money.
Yes, exactly. And I think Michael Porter Jr. had something similar because the back injuries where it was like, it's 70% guaranteed, but becomes fully guaranteed if either he made all NBA or the Nuggets went to the finals, which obviously they won the finals. And so his contract became fully guaranteed. So I've seen that before. I've never seen it this specific where it's like, we're assigning dollar values based on either you being great or the team making the finals, and you have to play in a certain number of games.
Well, and then what's not noted here is just the idea that DeMar could have a conversation with the Kings and say, hey, I want to move on to another place. And there's a couple, I read this, and especially on a day like today where I don't know if anybody thinks that DeMar DeRozan is worth a first rounder, but there are a lot of options that go away after today and tomorrow due to the draft being over. Like we continue to joke, you drive the car off the lot and things just change. So on a day like today, if I'm DeMar, and there's been no reports that conversations, that's been interesting though, with the Sacramento Bee and Jason Anderson and others, all including here at this station, talking about how the Kings are already looking for, or the Kings are at least listening, right, on DeMar DeRozan. That's interesting to me because I think ever since the De'Aaron Fox situation happened, I know personally I was expecting there to be, and also with Domantas Sabonis, there to be some finite. The Kings just had a conversation, and now we're moving forward. The Kings just had a conversation with DeMar DeRozan. Now we're moving forward. The Kings just had a conversation with Domantas Sabonis. Now we're moving forward in this way. It feels like each day that passes, I don't know that I think we're going to get that with Domantas Sabonis. I don't know that we're going to get that with DeMar DeRozan, which makes me kind of wonder, again, not source information, which makes me kind of wonder, as Scott Perry has said, hey, I've been talking with guys and having conversations with guys on a surface level. It makes me kind of wonder, has a version of that conversation already been had? Because the situation is different than De'Aaron, being with the Kings for so long, being drafted by the team. This was a different deal. If these reports are all coming out, and most recently from Jason Anderson, who was on the afternoon show, you go check out that YouTube during one of the breaks. If all these conversations are being had already, or at least there's a lot of smoke, that tells me that there already might be an understanding with DeMar DeRozan, and it might not be as official. The Kings just got out of them. There was a meeting set with DeMar DeRozan, Scott Perry, BJ Armstrong, and ownership. I don't know that we're going to get that. And with the draft being today and all the options that go away at the end of tomorrow, it feels like we should have already heard that if we were going to hear it, quite possibly.
So this is kind of just the interesting part about this NBA offseason, is that because there's not a bunch of teams with cap space or any premium free agents, all of the quote-unquote big or quote-unquote medium-sized transactions are going to happen this week, right? Before free agency opens, everyone's got to know how much cap space they're going to have available. So that's why you're seeing Drew Holiday get traded on Monday. CJ McCollum and Jordan Poole get traded during our show yesterday. Porzingis get traded. Why Fred VanVleet's option is getting announced now instead of, I think they had until Sunday to do it, but it's getting announced now because teams need to know how much cap space they have available going into free agency to sign very small players. So that's why most of the deals revolve around draft picks in this year's draft, which I would assume the same would be true for DeRozan, unless you're going to make a trade where no draft picks are involved. Like you're switching DeRozan for RJ Barrett or DeRozan for KCP, and there's no draft picks involved. Those are the type of moves that would happen after Thursday.
So if something is going to happen, it is more likely to happen today or tomorrow. That's not to say that it can't happen. And obviously, if you're going salary to salary, which is what we talked about with Sam Quinn of CBS Sports, which might, if DeMar DeRozan is more viewed as a salary to salary situation in general, then yeah, the draft doesn't affect him that much. We're still trying to figure out what DeMar DeRozan's value is. But with what's being brought up, and as we kind of mentioned, the Kings are expected to explore trades for DeMar DeRozan. That conversation being brought up, and Jason Anderson, who's covered the Kings and been in Sacramento for a very long time, and that's probably one of the more local names that we've heard reporting on this, on top of some of the national names that have reported on this, on top of the fact that he has DeMar DeRozan has these guarantees if he goes to an NBA Finals, right, within or next year, and some of the other, the All-Star, it is what it is. But there are a number of reasons for DeMar DeRozan, or if he even gets to a team where we're going to rock and roll and January 10th is going to come along and we like what we have with DeMar, he's also trying to find a way to get that money, right? And why wouldn't he be? So I personally, again, this is not source information, but based on how much DeMar DeRozan is coming up, I think some form of a conversation has already been had. Maybe, like I said, not in the official form, but it might have been of, hey, what is your appetite to stay here, right? And on DeMar's side, what is your appetite to move me or move some of this stuff around? I don't know that it's going to look, and maybe we'll learn more after the draft, and they could still have that. The Kings are having an official sit down. The thing about these sit downs, though, they're very much narrative driven, and we've learned this going through the De'Aaron Fox saga, where Shams, there's meetings all the time, right? Shams only repeats on some meetings because agents are feeding Shams information because they want you to know. For whatever reason that is, they want Shams to put out that there's a meeting. But there's meetings all the time that do not get reported on.
Yeah, and sometimes information gets framed differently based on who Shams' sources are or are not, too. So he might know about a meeting, but it's going to be framed differently of meeting to discuss their futures or met to just chat or something like that, right?
Yes, it is very important to read how Shams crafts his tweets. I don't know if he's using ChatGPT or what, but he definitely says what he wants to say in a specific way on purpose. All right, we have something that might make Kings fans happy, something that might make Kings fans sad. But the overpaying of Zach LaVine could end very, very soon. We'll tell you how when we return. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you need to hire, you know it takes time. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. You simply pick a time and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day.
Try Zip Intro for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro. Post jobs today. Talk to qualified candidates tomorrow.
Get ready for July 4th with early savings at Lowe's. Right now, get up to 40% off select major appliances and get an additional 10% off 2 or more select major appliances. Plus, get 3 Stay Green or premium 2 cubic foot mulch bags for just $10. These deals are coming in hot. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 6/25. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details. Excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave here for Capital Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room, inviting you to come join them every Wednesday for their midweek madness drawing, giving away $2,000 in total cash starting at 6 p.m. It's a safe and friendly environment, plenty of well-lit parking available, and it's conveniently located right there in downtown Sacramento. And remember, best food, best service, best games, 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento. For more information, log on to capital-casino.com and gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
I'm Ken Korak with your Green and Gold Report, brought to you by Comcast Business, powering possibilities. Well, there's a real chance of Jacob Wilson starting the All-Star game. As of the start of the A's current trip, he had a 250,000 vote lead at shortstop. Next up, the final vote of the top 2 finishers. If he wins that, he'll become the first A's shortstop to start the game in 50 years. Comcast Business helps turn today's small businesses into engines of modern business. It's how restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. It's how retailers become seamlessly restocking, cyber-securing must-visit shops. And it's how healthcare offices become data-managing caregivers that we all depend on. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, advanced fiber solutions, and Wi-Fi backup, Comcast Business is powering the engine of modern business.
Do your summer plans include travel? Make sure your prep includes more than just flights and hotels. Stay up to date with COVID-19 vaccination, especially if you're 65 or older or have certain health conditions. There have been surges in COVID-19 in the summer, too. It's important to help protect yourself no matter your destination. So check eligibility and schedule in minutes at VaxAssist.com. That's VAXAssist.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Coolidge.
Well, many thanks, good sir. Hereeth my Discover card.
They accept Discover at Renaissance fairs?
Yeah, they do here. Discover is accepted at the places that I love to shop. Getteth with the times.
With the times? You're playing the lute.
Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide.
based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Sacramento Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has the biggest selection, the best prices, and unbeatable customer service. Check them out online, sacsuperstore.com, for the guaranteed lowest price on Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Open until 10 o'clock and right across from Hagen Oaks Golf Course. sacsuperstore.com.
Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140
on Sacktown Sports.
Anthony Slater put out a heater of an article for The Athletic. The report is he's headed to ESPN. And there's no need in me even confirming that. Front Office Sports was on that, a couple weeks ago. But still writing for The Athletic right now, and he puts out a heater. It was a sit-down with Jonathan Kuminga. And outside of the sit-down, obviously, he also mentions that the Heat are very much interested in Jonathan Kuminga. He says, here's the quote, "The Kevin Durant trade might have helped the Miami Heat miss out on Durant and have legitimate interest in Kuminga, per league sources, among others expected to explore the idea as the market materializes." Now, obviously, I bring that up. He also says the Brooklyn Nets loom as a possible offer sheet team, but did use a chunk of their cap space in a Tuesday night trade. So I bring that up, obviously, because there was a lot of smoke or perceived smoke with the Kings and the Miami Heat. And yes, conversations have been had. Conversations are happening all over the place, but conversations have been had with the Kings and the Heat. DeMar DeRozan had not been brought up yet. This is prior to the Durant trade. This was back on Friday when I filled in for Carmichael Dave and Jason Ross on the morning show. So now the Heat with legitimate. I truly don't know what the Heat want to do. I truly do not know, because if you're, again, add Jonathan Kuminga to the mix, and if you are the Warriors, you get to add Andrew Wiggins back. I think you're cooking, personally. If you sign and trade and take Andrew Wiggins back, and now this is what we saw in 2022, Andrew Wiggins as a third option, right? That's completely different. Right now, I don't know what Bam, Tyler Hero, and Andrew Wiggins. He is a third option, but kind of a weird. You need more from him than a normal third option. Now, the Warriors would have to send something else because Andrew Wiggins is making $28 million, and Jonathan Kuminga is not getting $28 million. So they'd have to send something else. But it's interesting. Let's say they do that. I'm assuming that's what the deal would be, because just based on money, I guess the Warriors could say, I don't know how much they would have an appetite for number 20 tonight, but I guess you could look at Duncan Robinson. He makes 19.8.
I mean, he would maybe fit better than.
Yeah, you could. I mean, I don't know if he fits better. I think, do you take Duncan Robinson so you don't have to give up more because Andrew Wiggins costs more? Right? Because Kuminga's not getting $28 million.
Well, and also I feel like bringing back Andrew Wiggins would just be awkward at this point.
I personally don't think so. From what I know about the situation, I don't think so, personally. But from what you just said, would you rather have, if you're going to do the Kuminga deal, and back to the Heat side of things, they don't want to move on from Andrew Wiggins, right? Because Andrew Wiggins, Jordan Poole, Kuminga, during all that drama with Draymond, it was the vets versus the kind of young guns, and Wiggins wasn't necessarily a young gun, but he was kind of cooler with them because he was newer to the team. Mm-hmm. So that's everything that I know from the situation from when I was out there in the Bay. So if they want to hold on to Andrew Wiggins and run Bam, Tyler, Andrew Wiggins, and Kuminga, and then you say, okay, well, what am I going to get? If you're the Warriors, give me Duncan and Haywood Highsmith. Would the Warriors fans would, because every fan base does this, they'd feel like the Warriors got completely shafted. They would.
Yeah, but it's weird when it's a sign and trade, right? Because you're not supposed to get equal value. You're just supposed to make the salaries match.
I think if you care that much, and again, now you kind of dip into the Heat rotation. But if I'm the Warriors, you got to find a way. Hey, I'm looking here. Can we do Duncan and Jaime and Kuminga's yours?
I mean, we were talking about Duncan and Jaime for DeRozan, so I would assume
Is that not enough now?
I'm saying that the Warriors might be like, we're not getting a ton. I mean,
throw Haywood, Duncan, Haywood. I'm just saying it's players, it's your actual roster versus value, right? Duncan, Haywood, and Jaime. If you're the Warriors, I think, and you're done with this saga. You're done. And you get 3 players that fit, you could argue, better than Kuminga. But here's the thing. Now I feel like the Heat are saying that's too much.
Okay, so even if we compromise somewhere in the middle, right? The underlying point, though, because I think the Warriors have like the 41st pick and the Heat of the 20th,
Yes.
so maybe they swap or something, but that it would be after the draft, so it doesn't even matter. So let's not worry about the picks. I just think that regardless of what happens, if the Warriors are making any move, it's because they just don't think Jonathan Kuminga fits into what they're doing. Because I don't think they're going to get priced out by anybody in free agency.
No, I don't think so either.
Because it would have had to have been Brooklyn, right? Brooklyn would have had to have signed a contract that would put him in the second apron.
So as far as the Kings are concerned, if you are the Heat, again, going back to that timeline conversation, and I truly just don't know what the Heat are attempting to do. Andrew Wiggins is 30. Tyler Hero's 25. Bam is 27. All of them are kind of in the same sweet spot. I'm not just saying this because of the purple lenses, but I do think that DeRozan makes more sense than Kuminga. Neither of them stretch the floor. Neither of them can shoot. If you're trying to compete, again, you're going to sit Eric Spoelstra, very similar to Steve Kerr in some ways. Eric Spoelstra is going to give Kuminga, 35 minutes a night with just let him do his thing?
I don't know. On that team, he just might. He slots in as the starting 2, potentially.
No, he's nobody's 2. So he's a 3 or 4.
Okay, well then it's, I guess, him or Wiggins.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know.
You have to keep what you cannot do Wiggins, because that's what everybody's saying. Well, then do Wiggins for Kuminga. You can't do that if you're the Heat. You cannot do that.
Yeah, this is the interesting part about the whole conversation if you're the Miami Heat, right? Because I understand the benefits. The Heat haven't had a lottery pick in something like 16 years or something. So this would be like the best prospect, quote unquote, that they've ever had.
And just real quick, just to lay it out, Kuminga and Walter Clayton Jr. are the same age.
Yes.
Okay. And it feels like Jonathan Kuminga's been in the league for 8 years.
Yeah. And that's the interesting part about it is so if Miami drafts Walter Clayton, which they're expected to, I saw Walter Clayton had a funny joke when one of those interviewers asked him, who would you want to have dinner with if you could have dinner with anyone ever? And he was like, Pat Riley, Dwayne Wade. And I can't remember what the other one he said was, but obviously wants to be with the Heat. Mm-hmm. So, if you have Walter Clayton and Davion Mitchell, and then you bring in Kuminga, it's you could make the case you just have a young group of players that could assist Tyler and Bam, and maybe one of them is going to end up being the number 3.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it, and everybody is trying to get younger, so that's a good argument to not take DeMar DeRozan, which is not what we're trying to do here, Kyle. We're trying to convince them to take DeMar DeRozan.
DeRozan and Kuminga, that's a 13-year age difference there. You might just pay a little extra for Kuminga and see if you can work something out there.
Yeah. Or you don't want to, and you need a real bucket getter to get in their bag, and you go with DeMar DeRozan.
The Kings would like some Jaime Jaquez,
Well, and I think that's the thing now, right? If the Warriors are involved, I think the price tag, I think that affects the price tag of DeMar DeRozan, because depending on what the Heat and the Warriors are discussing, if Jaime, and we already know, think about it like this, We already know the players that they didn't want to give up for Kevin Durant. Now you say, well, to your point, Kyle, yeah, well, Kuminga's 22. His ceiling is crazy. Now, if they decide to say no to the Warriors for Kuminga, now by the time you get to DeMar DeRozan, they really might be thinking we're just going to give you some bubble gum and sun chips, and we don't have to do. We've said no to so many people so far. The last thing we're going to do is do anything that's perceived of overpaying for DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, unless they really believe DeMar DeRozan can be the number 3 they were trying to transform Jimmy Butler into, which as good as DeMar DeRozan is, I don't think many people would say Jimmy Butler or DeMar DeRozan is a number 3 on a legitimate championship contender, right? Even in Sacramento, which most of us think Sabonis is as good, if not better than Bam, and De'Aaron Fox is better than Tyler Hero, we were saying like, oh, they could get to the 4 or the 5 or the 6 seed this year. And I guess that's kind of the I don't think the Heat are worried about how their fan base is reacting to their moves, but maybe that is a deterrent from trading for DeRozan.
We still have Zach LaVine's breakdown that we will get into. Also, the draft is tonight. The fireworks are already happening. How many more are going to occur before the first pick? Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler? Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep Number 4th of July sale. Save over $600 on our King P5 smart bed, our lowest price of the season. Plus, get free home delivery with most smart beds, limited time. All Sleep Number smart beds offer temperature solutions for your best sleep. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com, sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
It's what you wait for all week. The 3-pointers, the rebounds, the thrill of every shot. Win or lose, it's the hope that keeps you coming back. The dream that this time, it might be your year. And so you represent with anticipation and with pride. Because when the pressure's on, your support is everything. And that's why the NBA store is here to support you. Check out the largest selection of official NBA gear at NBAstore.com. A Fanatics experience.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave here for American Energy, and oh my goodness, I'm born and raised here. I know it gets hot, but my goodness, we're already seeing 100-degree days. Listen to me. You do not want your system to conk out in the middle of June or July or August with one of those big 100-degree stretches. You want to make sure you're good all summer long. And my friends at American Energy Heating and Air can do that with a $24.50 tune-up right now. That's half price. And if you need a new system, $3,500 off, up to $3,500 off in rebates for qualified systems. They've been around since 1981, serving the greater Sacramento area. A+ with the Better Business Bureau. Call them right now, 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990. Jingle Singers, take it away.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Oh, and that's a hard foul. Let's listen for the call on the floor.
The taxpayer owes back taxes. Penalties and interest are assessed and wage garnishments to begin immediately.
The IRS never misses that call. I wonder if they will challenge it.
The call is under review.
Priority Tax Relief has been called in for a review. Priority is the best in the business at negotiating your tax debt and has even eliminated the debt for some clients. Priority Tax Relief is saving their clients millions of dollars every month.
After a careful review from Priority Tax Relief, The debt has been eliminated. No foul on the play.
Whoa! That completely changes the game, folks.
If you owe more than $5,000, call Priority Tax Relief, and in minutes they'll review your case for free with a direct line to the IRS to see if you qualify for life-changing relief. No more worrying about wage garnishments or frozen bank accounts. Call Priority Tax Relief today at 800-899-2289. That's 800-899-2289.
We make your tax relief our priority.
Call now. Priority Tax Relief.
KHD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
This is Sacktown Sports 1140. Your home for Kings talk and so much more.
Live and local.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
One hour down, 3 to go. We are on high alert for any type of move in regards to the NBA draft, which is tonight. Kings don't pick till tomorrow as of right now. 42nd pick when it is that time. But we got you, taking you up to 2 p.m. We are breaking down the reports on the Heat and Jonathan Kuminga, how that affects the Kings, and what the Kings may look to do before any of these cars drive off the lot and these picks become players and they immediately lose value, even if they and you know what's funny? The best case scenario, right, was the Cam Whitmore thing. And we talk about how these draft picks lose value once you drive them off the lot. And I don't even know what the rules are, but I mean, how many times have we, if it didn't happen with Cam Whitmore, where it was, oh my goodness, Cam Whitmore, the steal of the draft, he slips, balls out in Vegas, has a pretty good rookie season, and nobody thought, he's being brought up now, but nobody thought, hey, let's see if we can go get that guy, since the Rockets almost got, I don't want to say too lucky, but the Rockets have too much talent. So it's interesting how even when you hit on someone, if you're not going to immediately play them, it kind of just can fall by the wayside. But it's in the Rockets situation, well, that's because we just have too much talent, right? If they didn't hit on some of the other names, Cam Whitmore would be playing more. But
you're literally explaining the Cam Thomas situation.
Yeah, but from other teams' perspectives, let's go out and get that guy. But that was essentially, in a way, a collection of the Pacers in the Benedict Mathurin's and the Aaron Nesmiths, guys like that. So we'll see what happens. And we've been talking a lot about not the second day of the draft, but the second draft with some of these players. And it would be somewhat of a second draft for Jonathan Kuminga, who, again, feels like he's been in the league forever, but he's as old as, for example, a Walter Clayton Jr. and guys that are going to get drafted tonight or tomorrow. This is what he had to say. Now, we're talking about the Heat and what they want and the direction that they want to go in. And again, Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra, Heat culture, do things a certain way. We're seeing with Ace Bailey, there's certain teams he doesn't want to go to. This is what Kuminga had to say to Anthony Slater. I feel like I'm at the point where that has to be my priority, just to be one of the guys a team relies on, aiming to be an all-star multiple times, aiming to be great. Wherever I'm going to be at, it don't matter if it's the Warriors or if it's anywhere else. It's something I want. I want to see what I could do. I know I got it, so I really want to see. I've never got that chance. That's Jonathan Kuminga. If I'm reading that, if I'm the Heat, brother, I don't know.
Washington Wizards.
Yeah, that does not sound like let's go to the Heat and see what we can do. I don't know. There is not a contending team that's going to give him that runway. The brother wants 40 shots a game.
But wasn't that what we were talking about weeks ago with Jonathan Kuminga, which is welcome to Washington with Jordan Poole and welcome to the Nets, right? You're talking about giving him runway on a team that's going to lose, but potentially gives him a chance to just chuck up shots.
You know what? What about if I'm, and I know it's tough with the Miles Bridges situation, so it doesn't have to be Miles Bridges, but nobody wants to go to the Hornets Is there anybody on the Hornets that the Warriors might be interested in? Go let them run and gun out there in Charlotte.
Sure. Why not?
Because I don't see how the Heat, I read this and I hope the Heat read this article. Because I would read this article and say, maybe it's just safer to go with DeMar DeRozan.
I can get you Grant Williams.
All right. Well,
no.
The Warriors would just say, screw it. We'll just throw you on the bench for now.
It's fun while it lasts.
We'll just sign you and throw you on the bench for now.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the rest of their team. It's like $19 million for Yusuf Nurkic, Josh Green, which is one of the worst contracts in the NBA.
Let's just say, prop talk wise, obviously, if you indulge, you watch people differently. Josh Green might be one of the worst basketball players I've ever watched.
He's really. By the way, the nerd stats agree with you. He is one of the worst basketball players in the NBA.
Prop talk next season, or just take just stay away.
Yeah,
stay away.
He is really bad.
But I'm looking at this, and if I'm the Heat, you're bringing in a guy that is being very open. I will say that he's being open about what he wants, but a lot of these guys, a lot of these teams, they have young talent and they don't necessarily want to view one person or player over the other. I know they got my boy Matas Buzelis, but is this maybe the Bulls? You go Kobe White sign and trade or Vucevic.
I think Vucevic probably makes more sense, but
go get Vucevic and have Kuminga, Giddey, Matas out there in Chicago.
So they're going to do the Sacramento Kings thing of just an all shooting guard lineup. Giddey can play point, but still.
No. But you call everybody a shooting guard. Matas is 6'10". Kuminga is not a shooting guard. He is a small forward.
Okay.
Or power forward. And Giddey,
I've never seen Kuminga play the 4. I'm just going to.
Well, that's part of the reason it hasn't worked out in Golden State. And Giddey is not a shooting guard. Everyone is not a shooting guard. Only on the Sacramento Kings and on the Suns is everybody a shooting guard. So go let them cook out there in Chicago. Yes. I don't know if I'm the Heat and I'm reading this, and I got purple lenses on. So what? I pay taxes in Sacramento. I'm saying at least we know what we have in DeMar DeRozan, and there's no drama.
But the Heat culture, they know what this deal is. It doesn't matter what you want. You're going to conform to our standards. If Jonathan Kuminga
they just left Jimmy. They just let Jimmy drama, and now you want to bring in Mr. I need 80 shots a game.
It's not the same.
It is this. It's drama.
It's not the same.
I'm thinking, you know what? Let me bring DeMar DeRozan home to Miami, because somehow it's his home. We don't know how. He might have a summer home out there. Let me bring home DeMar DeRozan, and let's go get that 5th seed.
Alan, the Miami Heat's roster has Mr. History Doesn't Exist Since 1950 and doing songs with Jack Harlow.
Yeah.
As long as you're willing to work hard and have a certain body fat percentage, you can make it work in Miami.
I'm not saying you can't. I'm saying why would the Heat sign up for this?
I'm saying that Kuminga, if he chooses to go there, will evolve, right? Because Kuminga's talking about going to a team that doesn't have any other stars, which is
he team him up with Ace Bailey in
Brooklyn
in a just expansion team, and we will never hear about them again. Just go away, both of them.
Well, it's not that we'll never hear about them again. It's that they'll get what they want, which is a chance to be bad and hoop, and who knows? They believe in themselves that they'll both be all-stars.
I think this is a great day for the Sacramento Kings, whether it's Zach LaVine or DeMar DeRozan. And look, in the article, if you're just now joining us, Anthony Slater says the Heat have legitimate interest in Jonathan Kuminga, and obviously the Heat have been connected to the Kings and Kings players as well. But if I'm the Heat, I'm not dealing with Pat Riley. I'm too old for this. I'm not doing it.
I mean, you gotta look. They don't rebuild. This is a way to get younger without having to actually go to the bottom. You know, because then in this scenario, they would still have Davion Mitchell, who is not super young. I think he's 25. Davion Mitchell, Jovic, which no one talks about Jovic.
No, they talk about him. It ends with an itch, so he's going to be good. That's
Kuminga.
That's where we're at now with the itches, right? If you end with an itch, if I had, obviously I do have a kid. I haven't got another one coming, but I would legally change my last name to Stiles Itch and get drafted, and somebody would say, I don't know, man. This dude might be able to cook.
Gotta be careful with that.
He's got an itch in his name. I'm just saying, I don't know if Jovic is actually good.
Those itches go crazy, right?
Itches go crazy. That's where we're at right now.
So
go on.
Jovic, Davion Mitchell, Jonathan Kuminga, Walter Clayton Jr. Jaime might have to get traded to get Jonathan Kuminga, but Jaime is also like 26 years old. People forget Jaime was like a super senior in college. The point, though, is like at least you can convince yourself you're getting younger, which, by the way, if the Sacramento Kings traded for, let's say, RJ Barrett and then drafted Walter Clayton Jr., somehow getting into the late 20s, we would do the exact same thing in Sacramento, right? We would say, well, look at this young core without having to tank with Keegan Murray and Devin Carter and Jake LaRavia and Walter Clayton Jr. We would do the exact same thing in Sacramento that the Miami Heat would be doing if they got Kuminga and drafted Walter Clayton.
I think that number one, you're in the East, right? And number two, I just feel like where the Heat are, right? I think it's easy to say that. I think if it doesn't come together, then it's just perceived as you're trying to retool and you're refusing to say uncle, which is ultimately, if it didn't work out the difference is the Pacers made a blockbuster trade to kind of restart their timeline, and it was all focused around Tyrese Halliburton. What the Heat are trying to do, that's a bit different. Their complementary pieces were the older players like Miles Turner, right? The Heat, their main players are the older players. So and I'm not necessarily saying that everyone's trying to do the Pacers thing, but it's not the same.
Yeah, but the Pacers the Pacers stars were in their prime, right? I mean, Siakam is 30 years old, and Tyrese.
And you also got a legitimate star in Siakam, right?
Yeah,
so
Siakam beat 31. Yeah,
the Heat. I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking myself out of Kuminga because I want DeMar DeRozan to go there. I think if you're the Heat, you're just it's like swinging at a piñata, right? You're just taking kind of blind swings here.
This is why talking about the Heat is so weird, right? Because we instinctively say, yes, Bam Adebayo probably can't be the second best player on a championship team, but he has been twice.
Yeah.
He was in the NBA Finals as the second best player multiple times, one of which was only 2 years ago. So it's hard for me to just outright dismiss Bam Adebayo and say like, oh, he can't be a Siakam or he can't be like one of these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, we have seen it before.
Got to see it again.
We got to see it do it without Jimmy Butler.
Do it without a young Jimmy Butler that cared. As far as RJ Barrett is concerned, we're about 10 minutes away from breaking down that whole situation. You're in the middle of a commercial-free set here for 30 whole minutes as we take you up to 11:30. Kyle, we had this conversation before the show, and I wanted to bring it to the bright lights of the Allen Stiles Show. So we had two situations happen within the last 12 hours or so, less than 24 hours. So you have Kyrie Irving, okay, who took a quote-unquote pay cut, right? He was owed $43 million on a player option. He decides, hey, they agreed to decline the player option. And then on top of that, they're going to add, it is now a 3-year deal. And with that 3-year deal, he's making $39 million a year. Just 2 hours ago, Fred VanVleet, who was about to make an absurd amount of money, but it was a team option, and this from Shams, of course. Houston Rockets guard Fred VanVleet intends to sign a 2-year, $50 million contract to stay with the franchise with an option in 2026, 2027. Sources tell ESPN Rockets are declining VanVleet's $44.9 million and land a new deal. So basically, Fred we all know you're not. We all know you're not worth that. Respectfully, you could have been, but you're not. We'll give it to you. We'll just spread it out over 2 years.
Remember all those debates you were having before, like a month ago, about who's better, Fred VanVleet or DeMar DeRozan?
Yeah.
DeRozan has 2 years, $50 million left.
Right.
VanVleet just signed a 2-year, $50 million contract. So the league is telling you they're basically the same player.
Yeah, and in this day and age, with how Fred shoots the three-pointer, we can kind of see where that would land. But the reason we bring it up as it pertains to Zach LaVine is we have a team option example with Fred VanVleet. We have a player option example with obviously Kyrie Irving. And now with Zach LaVine about to make basically $49 million, not this coming season, but after that, he will have a player option. The Kings, now look, you might want him to just walk, right? Just eat the 49 and just be done with it and see if Scott Perry can convince some players to come to Sacramento. All I'm saying is that they might not do that. And they might say, we're willing to have a conversation with Zach LaVine to extend that 47, right, throughout the next 3 years. So it's a more realistic contract. Now, the big difference is, as you can see, Kyrie at only, $4 million less a year because it was a player option versus Fred VanVleet at essentially half. Right, he goes from 44 mil being owed that in 1 year to 50 mil over the next 2 years because that was a team option. So somewhere in the middle, we can have a conversation about what could happen with the Kings if they so choose to keep Zach LaVine on. And Kyle, like we were talking about in the pre-show, they would have to make it worth Zach LaVine's while as far as what they believe they're going to be worth on the open market if they don't want to hit free agency. So go ahead, Kyle, and kind of explain it, how we were talking about it in the pre-show and how it's not as if it comes off, again, player option, team option, two different things. Because it's a player option, the Kings can't just say, hey, we're just going to split that into 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay, Zach LaVine. They can say that, and Zach LaVine would say, okay, no. And I'm just like, I'm not going to do that. I think I'm worth more than 49 over the next 2 years. So go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, so they have to make it worth Zach LaVine's while to sign that extension, which essentially is saying whatever the gap between the $49 million Zach is going to be owed next year and what you would say he's actually worth,
right?
The Kings can either just pay all of that in 1 year, or they can kind of spread it out over 3 to 4 years with a long-term extension, right? So if I were to, let's just role play what the conversation might look like.
Right.
If you're Zach LaVine, or if I'm the Kings and you're Zach LaVine's agent, what if I were to ask you, what do you think Zach LaVine would make on the open market as a 32-year-old at the end of this contract, right? If he's played 2 years with the Kings, he's now 32, he becomes a free agent. What do you think he would get as a free agent?
I don't know that Zach LaVine would get 30 a year, but I think his agent would say, I think we can find, if you go through all the contracts at an AAV of 30 mil, I think Zach LaVine's agent is clutch, by the way. Yeah, we're not taking less than 30 mil a year. We can get that on the open market.
So if Rich Paul, or whoever his agent specifically is saying we can get 2 years at $60 million a year in free agency in 2027.
Yeah.
Then you say, okay, that's $60 million on your next contract plus $49 million on the team option, which means that if he were to opt in, become a free agent in 2027 and sign another contract, he would get a total of 3 years, $109 million.
Right.
So then if you're his agent, you come back to the Kings and say, okay, 3 years, $109 million is our starting point for an extension. Otherwise, we're just going to do that, right? Otherwise, we're going to opt in and go to free agency in 2027 and sign for whatever we expect we're going to get, right?
Yeah.
So you come back to the Kings and say, hey, we think if Zach opts out or opts in and does that, he'll make $109 million over 3 years. What are you going to offer us to make it so that we don't just go to free agency and get 3 years, $109 million? And that's where the Kings have to, maybe come back and say, hey, we'll pay you 3 years, 114, which is an average of 35 a year, right? So the Kings might say, hey, we'll make it worth your while. You opt out of the 49, but we'll pay you 35 every year for the next 3 years.
Right. So again, because this is a player option, they can't do what the Rockets did with Fred VanVleet. But it could be because Zach LaVine is so overpaid. I believe that if the Kings went in this direction, it would be more than just $4 million off of the contract like Kyrie Irving. So I think that it could, if the Kings like Zach LaVine, now there might be a fan right now driving, banging on their steering wheel saying, no. But this is if the Kings like what they're seeing from Zach LaVine. And then we decide Zach LaVine, and again, remove names now and remove ideas. And if he has another healthy season, then, and let's say his production is pretty much the same, you essentially have a 50, 40, 90 guy at 24 points per game at $35 million. That's more like it. Again, remove the name, right? Zach LaVine, and we talked to Sam Quinn yesterday, CBS Sports. Go check that out on YouTube or on the Sacktown Sports app. But $35 million a year for a guy that's at 24 points per game. If he does it again, obviously stays healthy. Now we're feeling better about that situation. I'm not saying I want to do that, but I'm saying that could be something that the Kings look to do. And if you're, basically you're saying, hey, here's the least. If I'm clutch, hey, here's the least we think Zach LaVine's going to get, 30 mil. So, we can go out there and maybe even get more at the end of this season. The other part of it too is if Zach LaVine, the reason the Kings would have a little bit of leverage is also security, right? Because Zach LaVine has bounced around a little, not even bounced around. It might even have been worse because it's just been hanging over his head for the last couple of years, whether or not he's going to get traded. Finally gets traded, and now he settles into Sacramento. Let's say he has a couple good years and is healthy, likes the situation. Okay, now, somebody, and I'm not pocket watching, but I made a lot of money in this league. Now I'm going to go chase more money somewhere else. Maybe I don't even get the 30 mil. Maybe somebody says, we're not doing it because, I don't know, seems like he, I'm kind of do the Christian McCaffrey thing. What happened last season? Zach LaVine just had 2 healthy seasons in a row, right? Are you going to take a bet on the third and pay him $32 million?
Yeah, or he does actually get hurt.
Right, or that happens too. So that's basically the breakdown with Zach LaVine, looking at what happened with Fred VanVleet. It ain't going to be a price cut like Fred VanVleet because Fred VanVleet was a team option, but we do think that it could be a bigger pay cut than what Kyrie got. Kyrie, again, let's think about the Kyrie situation. I would say, obviously, he, all-star and, really bought out this past season. So did Zach LaVine, but Kyrie was in the finals the season before. Now he's 32. He's 32 or 34? 30,
Kyrie?
Yeah, 32. 33. Coming off of ACL. Yeah, you know what? Let's just settle in here. Now, Kyrie probably could have got to the open market, but he's coming off of ACL. He's in his mid-30s now. Let's just take this. I'll take a $4 million quote-unquote pay cut, and I'm air quoting there, and let's just rock and roll with the Mavs. And he could still get traded in one of these years.
Yeah, for sure, which is, Zach LaVine could still get traded. It's just at $47 million, it's less likely that a team is going to trade you for what you are worth. If let's just say, if we think Zach LaVine is worth $30 million a year, right? If Zach LaVine were hitting free agency right now, and we think he would sign for 3 years and $90 million, then the Kings are essentially overpaying him by about $17 million.
Yeah.
So you either just pay that $17 million all next year, or you spread it out over multiple years by giving him an extension, and you get that short-term relief for a player who you either think is going to be part of your long-term plan, or at least he becomes easier to trade later on because you were always going to extend him anyways. It's just a balancing act that the Kings could decide to do.
A name that the Kings front office is familiar with, a source told NBC Sports California that name has popped back up. Will a move happen tonight? It is a name from the Eastern Conference. We will tell you who that player is when we return. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Jane has 150,000 miles on her truck, and she's proud of that. Jane's secret, AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help her find the right parts. Jane's brother Josh only cares that his car starts and goes, but when it doesn't, he also goes to AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help with free services. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply.
Whoa, it's you, the Capital One Bank guy.
That's what they call me.
Mind if I get a selfie?
Yeah, sure thing. Say no fees or minimums on your Capital One checking account.
Wow, that's a keeper. So, where are you heading?
I'm off to spread the good news that Capital One helps people keep more money in their wallet with no overdraft fees.
Oh, you're the best Capital One Bank guy.
Hey, mind if I get a selfie?
Sure.
Say, Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owe the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they helped me. They calmed me down. They made me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Get ready for a night out with Jordan Davis. It's Country in the Park 2, Saturday, September 13th at Cal Expo. Along with special guests Mitchell Tenpenny, Mocash, Vincent Mason, and Averyana. Make it a family day out with food trucks, games, dancing, and more. Saturday, September 13th at Cal Expo with Hoblit Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center. Tickets and info at CITPFest.com.
Baseball, fireworks, and patriotic fun. Join the Sacramento Rivercats on July 3rd for our Independence Eve extravaganza, presented by Budweiser. It's a summer tradition packed with fireworks, baseball, friends, family, and unforgettable memories. Bring the whole crew and enjoy America's pastime under the lights, followed by a post-game fireworks show lighting up the Sacramento skyline. It's the perfect way to kick off Independence festivities. Lock in your tickets for July 3rd at rivercats.com.
What's going on? We're talking to Chad Hoblit of Hoblit Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Woodland. Chad, tell me what's happening for the Employee Pricing Plus sales events.
Anyone can get you employee pricing, but at Hoblit, it's all about the plus. You can only get here. Save up to $16,000 off MSRP on new 2025 Ram 1500 crew cabs. One of the many reasons we are the #1 Ram truck dealer in California.
But why do you think Hoblit's consistently California's #1 Ram truck dealer?
You won't find a better price on the Ram truck you need. And with 500 new Rams available, no one has a better selection. Plus, being a 5th-generation family-owned dealer, you get the big city selection and savings with the small town service. And we have 7 Walter P. Chrysler Service Awards to prove it.
Search, select, and save through their whole inventory at HoblitDodge.com. Unbeatable prices, unbeatable selection. Nobody beats Hoblit, period.
16,000 full net savings on select new 2025 Ram 1500 Laramie after 6,000 factory rebates and 10,000 dealer discounts. Rebates include 2,500 select inventory bonus cash, 500 on the job upfit, must show eligible upfit. Employee pricing factored into dealer discount. 5% net savings. Sample VIN 711632. See dealer for details.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/SacktownSports1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
Taking you up to 2 p.m. What is going to happen today? Is anything going to happen at all? A lot of people responding to some of the posts that I've been putting out saying, Kings aren't going to do anything. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised either way, right? Some of the words that are being used, opportunistic. What does that look like? I think that there are two things that you're trying to accomplish. And that's what I've been continuing to say. Scott Perry, when it comes to, and by the way, I say I don't know. Anybody tells you they do know, don't listen to them. Because I don't think the Kings know. What I do know is that Scott Perry wants to make his own mark. And you have to start building the platform and the foundation that he's told us about. And he may look at some of the guys that are currently on the team above the age of 26 and say, does this match what I'm trying to do? And I do know it would be really nice to bring in somebody, and obviously they have the 42nd pick tomorrow, but it would be really nice to bring in somebody that's their guy. Now, they're not going to sell the farm in order to do it, but I do know that they would like to do that. Because who wouldn't like to do that? You want to start to say, hey, here is my imprint on the organization. And I hit on this guy, number 20, whatever it may be. Or maybe it's a second, or at this point, it might be a third draft guy in the form of an RJ Barrett. This is from NBC Sports California. A source told NBC Sports California that Raptors president Masai Ujiri has valued Malik Monk for some time, and the expectation is that Sacramento would push to acquire 25-year-old guard RJ Barrett in a potential deal. Barrett, the former number 3 overall pick and Duke standout, averaged 21.1 points on 46.8% shooting from the field and 35% from three-point range with 6.3 rebounds and 5.4 assists, 32.2 minutes in 58 games last season. That all sounded amazing until the last line of 58 games. It all sounded incredible. And then you get to the very end, 58 games. And we've made RJ Barrett a trade candidate before on this show. You can go check that out on YouTube. Just go ahead and search Sacktown Sports 1140. RJ Barrett should come right up. RJ Barrett, 2 years left on his deal, $27.7 million this upcoming season. Then after that, 29.6. So yeah, I mean, it could be viewed. Look, that is the specific range where you could look at it and say, oh, that's too much. Or you could look at it and say, after another season, I mean, that's pretty darn good. If you look at his numbers, again, under 60 games, but if he did that in 72 games, I don't think anybody is saying that he's overpaid. Now, numbers aren't everything. You got to use the eye test too, but you know, 27.7 million for that production that we just brought up. If you can get to 70 games, I don't think that's a bad look at all. And these are the types of second draft guys that the Kings want to look at. Now, maybe you don't want to look at them, but with the Kristaps Porzingis deal, we don't know what's going on with the Hawks now and Trae Young. They might try to mess around and sneak into a 7 seed in a weak East, or maybe better than that. And obviously they would believe that they could be better than that. When it comes to, some of these other teams, the Grizzlies have never said that they were trying to move Ja Morant. They never said. All they've said was the opposite. We've heard more about potential moves of Nikola Jokic than Ja Morant, which is insane.
Well, it feels like everyone's like, are you sure you don't want to trade Ja Morant? Because it feels like you should probably trade Ja Morant.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
And they haven't. And they continue to say the same thing. We really even haven't heard rumors of Ja Morant. So you start looking around here, trying to figure out who are the Kings trying to get. And there was a texter, it might have been a caller, talking about Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett and how, they've been a bit injured. Look, between the two, Emmanuel Quickley is getting 32 a year. So I think Emmanuel Quickley might be a little bit better, but both of them missed time. I think Emmanuel Quickley missed more time than RJ Barrett. So this isn't a crazy, if it's, and like I said, we've already had the conversation, but to be fair, I don't know that we had the conversation with this new information as far as Malik Monk is concerned. So you look at Malik, I look at it like this, right? Depending on what you have to give up on top of Malik Monk. But I look at it like this. He's a little bit younger than Malik Monk. Yeah, you're paying him more, but I would say, as someone told me long ago, scared money don't make no money. And it really depends on what else you think Malik Monk could bring to the table, right? And what you're trying to accomplish. Now, again, is this still more working around the fringes a little bit, but you're getting a smidge younger, RJ Barrett a couple years younger than Malik Monk. I'm looking here, and obviously the Kings can take on some of it, and they can't take on all of it as it pertains to RJ Barrett's contract, but they don't need to completely match it. They just need to add something else. So if it is a straight up, we value Malik Monk as much as you value RJ Barrett because those prices, and I'm double checking here because I know obviously it'll affect the MLE and TPEs and things like that. But,
CTEs.
Yeah, everything. So for example, in Fanspo, Malik Monk and Terrence Davis for RJ Barrett would work, right? Now, obviously, that affects the money. You can't just go get PJ Washington anymore if you wanted to do that, but you would bring in RJ Barrett, younger, you're paying him more, but you would expect more. You move off of Malik Monk and Terrence Davis, and then you go get your Dennis Schroder or Tyus Jones, and you see what happens.
And you would expect that move comes in correlation with moving DeRozan for somebody else, right?
Exactly.
Because where's RJ Barrett going to play if not for replacing DeMar DeRozan? So
exactly.
Yeah. The only thing that would make a difference is like the trade is fine, but then you'd have to do a different DeRozan trade. You could use your trade exception to make it work, but if they're planning to extend Keon Ellis now, then it gets a little more complicated because you're right up near the first apron. But again, they'll figure that out after they make the trade.
Right. So, that's a conversation to have. Is there a world where DeMar stays and you bring him off the bench? I mean, I don't think so. I don't think he wants to come off Sacramento's bench, but I think anything is possible. So that's a report coming from NBC Sports Bay Area. I will say, though, and I saw somebody respond to me for the RJ Barrett stuff and just say, man, if they're going to move Malik Monk, it better be for somebody with some pizzazz or some aura or some swag. I will say, and it's tough because life does come at you fast, just like I told Toddler Styles when we went to Benihana and the fire was in her face and she did not see it coming.
Oh, that was so cute.
But it does kind of stink that Malik Monk was somebody we all were just hoping and praying stayed in Sacramento. And it felt like a huge win for Sacramento that Malik chose Sacramento. And we spend so much time talking about Tyrese Halliburton, how he didn't want to leave. De'Aaron Fox is a little bit different, but he said all of the right things as far as not wanting to leave. And now for Malik Monk to be in these conversations where he wanted to stay in Sacramento, it just stinks. That's my sports host take on it. It just kind of stinks that we're having these conversations where this time and we'll look up when he resigned, but this time last year or around this time last year, we were all like, wow, Malik decided to stay in Sacramento.
And Nate was reporting at card shows that he wasn't going to stay, and then he did stay.
The way he was looking, he's out of here.
Apparently, it was agreed to on June 20th of last year.
So basically, a year ago Friday, we were celebrating.
We were begging him to stay.
Yes, a year ago we were celebrating Malik Monk staying. Something that And that's the thing about being in Sacramento. They hate on you when they assume the worst. They hate on you, obviously, when that happens. But then when the Kings do have wins, they didn't even say, wow, good on Sacramento for keeping Malik Monk. It was just, well, you took DeMar DeRozan and he stinks. And it's never going to work. But that was a huge win for Sacramento. And none of us knew what was to come months later. And here we are now talking about... The whole
season exploded and he was playing point guard.
Yes. Here we are now talking about sending the pizza guy to Toronto. And
I'm a pizza guy.
That just is brutal, man.
I'm a pizza guy.
It's really, really brutal. Speaking of brutal, apparently Drew Holiday is in a brutal situation. He's ticked off, we think. Here's a report. We'll get to it when we return. Down south, Sacktown Sports.
Oh, and that's a hard foul. Let's listen for the call on the floor.
The taxpayer owes back taxes. Penalties and interest are assessed and wage garnishments to begin immediately.
The IRS never misses that call. I wonder if they will challenge it.
The call is under review.
Priority Tax Relief has been called in for a review. Priority is the best in the business at negotiating your tax debt and has even eliminated the debt for some clients. Priority Tax Relief is saving their clients millions of dollars every month.
After a careful review from Priority Tax Relief, the debt has been eliminated. No foul on the play.
Whoa! That completely changes the game, folks.
If you owe more than $5,000, call Priority Tax Relief, and in minutes they'll review your case for free with a direct line to the IRS to see if you qualify for life-changing relief. No more worrying about wage garnishments or frozen bank accounts. Call Priority Tax Relief today at 800-899-2289. That's 800-899-2289.
We make your tax relief our priority.
Call now. Priority Tax Relief.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave here for American Energy, and oh my goodness, I'm born and raised here. I know it gets hot, but my goodness, we're already seeing 100-degree days. Listen to me. You do not want your system to conk out in the middle of June or July or August with one of those big 100-degree stretches. You want to make sure you're good all summer long. And my friends at American Energy Heating and Air can do that with a $24.50 tune-up right now. That's half price. And if you need a new system, $3,500 off, up to $3,500 off in rebates for qualified systems. They've been around since 1981, serving the greater Sacramento area. A+ with the Better Business Bureau. Call them right now, 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990. Jingle Singers, take it away.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-9861. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-9861. That's 800-575-9861. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Want the best movie experience in town? Join Sacktown Sports IMAX Pass by visiting SacktownSports.com. Sign up today. You can win tickets to see this week's films at the Esquire IMAX Theater.
Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140
on Sacktown Sports.
$916. Let's get to some of these texts now. 916 says, could the Raptors want Malik Monk for the 9th pick? No.
I don't.
How about this? I don't think so.
There's reports today they're offering the 9th pick for Derek White. So
yeah,
I don't think Malik Monk is Derek White.
Yeah, I don't think so. That would be nice. That'd be great. And as much as, like I said, I'd hate to see the pizza guy go, they got pizza in Toronto.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah. But I think that's a little ambitious there to the 916. About to discuss why Drew Holiday may or may not be ticked off, but we got Joe here who wants to be a part of the conversation, 916-339-1140. If you want to be a part of the conversation. What's up, Joe? What you got for us?
Hey, dude, first of all, why are we always going after retread guys like Schroder? He's been to the Lakers. He's been to the Warriors. He's been to Toronto. I mean, everywhere he goes, everybody gets rid of him. He's not, I don't care if he's a bridge guy or not. Schroeder's not the guy we want to get. And why would you want to trade for the 21st pick when after number 7, the 7th pick in this draft, 8 through the rest of the first round is either a bust, a second round, or a gamble. And third of all, the Kings are like Scooter 916 from Sacramento. He goes up to buy a car, and he's always the guy who comes back, a salesman, and says, we get sent you the best deal. Here it is. You're not going to get a better deal anywhere. And he says, hey, I got to think about it and walk away.
What would you do, Joe? What would you do?
Today, what would I do?
Yes.
There's this talk about that the Knicks they might be looking to get rid of Robinson and Mikal Bridges. I don't think the Kings won't do nothing.
Thanks, Joe. Joe, thank you, Joe. Shout out Elk Grove. I'm just trying to figure out what is it that you want them to do. Teams have more than one point guard, and you can't call people busts until they get drafted and are actually busts, Joe.
And even then, you could turn your career around by going to another team in the second draft.
You never know. That's why I asked, what would you do if you had the control? Now, Joe is right. There are reports on Mikal Bridges and Robinson possibly being available. Could I interest you? And here's the problem now. If you're the Knicks, do you just wear the fact that you overpaid for Mikal? I mean, you can't get that money back, right? If you're running around thinking, oh, well, we gave this up for Mikal Bridges, now we have to get something comparable. That's the same version of driving something off the lot. You did something that nobody else was going to do. You wanted your Villanova brotherhood, and that is what it is.
Didn't we play a sound on the show of some person talking about, was it Han or something on ESPN saying, like, just because you made a bad move doesn't mean you shouldn't compound it by making another bad move with his extension?
Right.
This is kind of the same thing, right? If you trade him for less than you got him for a year ago, then that deal is already done, and now you're getting the best deal you can get for him now.
Hear me out. Just hear me and hear me good. Okay? Hear me and hear me good. Okay. Hear me and hear me good. Now they gave up those picks. This gets out. Like I said, when I get to the pick conversation, you hop in and tell me if we need to do more. Okay? But hear me and hear me good. The Kings get Mikal Bridges at $25 million and a promise that he'll extend.
Yes.
For 3-4 whatever. Right?
4 years. Comes with an extension.
Comes with a 4-year extension. The Knicks get DeMar DeRozan. They get Devin Carter, okay, who is not Mikal Bridges, but a lengthy, kind of scrappy. I know Mikal Bridges is taller, but lengthy, kind of scrappy defensive. You get some defense back. 1 first rounder, 2 first rounders. How high do I have to go? 1, 2?
I'd say probably pick 42.
Okay.
And
2. Would you do that?
Which 2?
Whatever 2. Bad 2. 1 good 2, 1 bad 2.
Okay. 1.5 is what we're saying.
Yes. DeMar DeRozan, Devin Carter, pick 42, 2 first rounders for Mikal Bridges with the promise of an extension.
I would.
Who says no?
I think it's just what do the Knicks want is the other part. Like if the Knicks are offering, if the Kings are offering this and the Knicks don't want to do that, I would say no. But if the Knicks are offering that, then I think I'd probably still say no. And it's only because I don't know what defensive player I'm getting from Mikal Bridges, right?
You in this defense this year.
Mikal Bridges has been a bad defender since leaving Phoenix, and I just don't know what to do with that because he was awesome when he was on Phoenix and half a season on Brooklyn. I just don't know what to do with him now. So I guess again, the DeRozan thing is just weird, right? Do the Knicks even want DeMar DeRozan on a team that also has Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns, who, boy, that defense would be tough.
Well, Josh Hart's a good defender.
Yeah, but he would be there, I guess, on an
OG. You got OG, you got Josh Hart.
That would be tough. I'm just saying, that would be.
Look, Joe brought up Mikal Bridges. That's the only way you're having a Mikal Bridges conversation.
Unless it's,
I don't think they want Malik Monk. I mean, you got Miles McBride. I don't think they want Malik Monk.
I should go back because we did Bridges as a trade candidate. What were the trades that I put together for that? I don't
probably
remember.
Something similar.
Probably. I mean, it's probably a DeRozan and something. Oh, so, I think it had Keegan Murray going to the Knicks in one of them.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the Knicks, obviously, if you're the Kings, what's the point of doing that? I don't know why you would do that.
Then you'd really be needing Mikal Bridges to turn into an elite defender again.
Yeah. So that is.
What a call from Joe, huh?
No, yeah. I was speechless for a half second. Real quick on Drew Holiday being ticked off. Drew Holiday is ticked, we think. This came out from Heavy on Sports. And then we saw some Blazers writers trying to debunk it. And then it kind of turned into, well, he might not be happy, but he's not necessarily as mad as maybe this report says. This is from Heavy on Sports. Quote, Holiday was also expected to be a casualty of second apron concerns. So he had to know the possibility was very real that he'd be dealt away from Boston, a place he developed ties with both the team and the community. According to one source close to the situation, Holiday is pissed he's going to Portland. Quote from the source, now, if he winds up staying there, I'm sure he'll be the professional he's always been and make a positive contribution, said the source. But he's not happy with this deal. I'll be surprised if Portland doesn't move him or move him on if they can, because right now he does not want to go there. And he goes on to say, I'm sure if he has to go to Portland, he'll end up going and it'll be okay. But right now they want to be somewhere else. But with that contract, it's not going to be that easy. We talked about the future of the Kings versus the Blazers, maybe just based on some of the names. And I know people can say what they want about Domantas Sabonis, and DeMar DeRozan is still on the team right now, and Zach LaVine, but Drew Holiday, he'd probably rather be on. There's different, and here's a breakdown. Did Drew Holiday, did he understand, and I'm sure he's been around this business for a long time, all three of the brothers have been, he understood that he probably was going to get moved. So I don't think it's a matter of, I'm mad that I was traded from the Celtics. This more so reads that I'm mad as to where I ended up. Do you think, again, if there is a flipping conversation to be had, do you think he'd be happier in Sacramento?
I guess it depends. Sacramento with who else?
I don't know, because if you're flipping him, you send DeMar. Do you look at the Blazers and DeMar any differently now? Because now the Blazers have decided to have a makeover, and no, we're actually contending for something now.
Well, I was going to say, if it's DeMar and, okay, you have Drew Holiday and LaVine and Sabonis, at least you could say it's not just a bunch of young guys who haven't made the playoffs before. But if he's the centerpiece of, him and Klingon are coming for Sabonis, then, no, he's probably not going to be happy in Sacramento with a team that's trying to tank. But I think Portland or Sacramento is the type of situation he was always going to get traded to.
Yes.
And that's just I shouldn't say a consequence because he should have taken the money, but Boston offered him a contract that made it so that he was going to have to be one of the 2 or 3 highest paid players on any team. And we just saw it. Drew Holiday, as one of the 2 or 3 best players on a team, is not good enough to win a championship. It took him being the 5th best guy on the Celtics or the 4th best guy on the Celtics for them to finally win a championship. So that's just the contract he has makes it so that he's not going to be on a championship team.
So apparently he's ticked off, and what happens next with the Blazers? Again, as we started the show, it's probably somewhere in the middle. He probably had, maybe a secret list, and maybe the Kings were on that list. They had been linked to him. I mean, here's the thing. No disrespect to Portland, and I'm not comparing Portland to Sacramento, but when you see yourself connected, and I don't know how the Clippers were going to pull it off, but when you see yourself connected to, the Clippers and to a lesser degree Sacramento, and then you end up going to a Portland team that are now trying to re-identify as contenders, I could see why Drew Holiday just thought, man, I thought that's all fine and good, but I thought I'd be going to a better situation. Well, Drew, you're making too much damn money. That's the problem.
I thought I was going to be treated like Chris Paul going to the Suns, not Harrison Barnes going to the Spurs.
Yeah, and what, the Draymond to, who was that? Draymond to, who was that, Paul Pierce? You thought you was Kobe?
Yeah.
You thought you was they don't love you like that. You thought you was Kobe? 916 says, come on, Allen, you think he would be happy in Sacramento? Not a chance. We have a worse reputation than Portland. That's from Jeff. Maybe you're right, Jeff, but with the players, I just think that everybody knows that the Kings are missing a point guard. So you could be that missing piece to, again, a Zach LaVine who had a really good season, to now I would call dang near a underappreciated player in Domantas Sabonis. So I don't know. I just think if you're looking, again, for where Drew Holiday is, I think the Blazers have maybe better young talent, but how does that help Drew Holiday? I think that's kind of the push-pull. This is a team who, like I said, that trade made us think, oh, the Blazers are done tanking now. Okay, that's good to know. Or they're done stinking now. That's good to know. So I don't know. We'll see what happens there when we return. Another team that we are finding out, they're trying to contend, we think. When I first read this, I thought this was another flip situation, but it might not be that simple, as Kristaps Porzingis is headed for some lemon pepper out there in hot Atlanta. 12 o'clock hour coming up on South Sacktown Sports.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you need to hire, you know it takes time. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. You simply pick a time and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day.
Try Zip Intro for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro. Post jobs today. Talk to qualified candidates tomorrow.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Jane has 150,000 miles on her truck, and she's proud of that. Jane's secret? AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help her find the right parts. Jane's brother Josh only cares that his car starts and goes, but when it doesn't, he also goes to AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help with free services. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
When you're young, life is full of choices. Don't let opioids like highly addictive and deadly fentanyl take away your life with just one wrong pill. Addiction is a disease that can affect anyone at any age. But there is a choice to get help for this disease. Find medically proven treatment options, including virtual, at choosemat.org.
The Giant Summer Sale is here. Get giant savings on our giant selection only at Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
Looking to own or lease? Save during the Giant Summer Sale and drive a brand new Accord or Civic. Visit us today at FolsomLakeHonda.com, your one-stop Honda shop.
As a family-owned and operated dealership since 2009, customer service is our number one priority. Our customers love doing business with us, and you will too.
Folsom Lake Honda. Go to FolsomLakeHonda.com. Your one-stop Honda shop.
Mike Rowe here with a quick question. Have you noticed cracks in your drywall, chimney, or exterior walls? I hope not, because if you have, they could be indications that you've got a much bigger problem with your foundation. That's where Groundworks comes in. They can honestly assess your situation and create a plan to stabilize your foundation. Schedule your free inspection at groundworks.com/row. And while you're there, check out my latest dirty job. It's a good one.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
Do your summer plans include travel? Make sure your prep includes more than just flights and hotels. Stay up to date with COVID-19 vaccination, especially if you're 65 or older or have certain health conditions. There have been surges in COVID-19 in the summer, too. It's important to help protect yourself no matter your destination. So check eligibility and schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Introducing the new Dell AI PC, powered by the Intel Core Ultra processor. It helps do your busy work for you, so you can fast forward through editing images, designing presentations, generating code, debugging code, summarizing meeting notes, finding files, managing your schedule, responding to Jim's long emails, leaving all the time in the world for the things you actually want to do. No offense, Jim. Get a new Dell AI PC starting at $749.99 at Dell.com/AI-PC. How those ahead stay ahead.
KHD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
Sacktown Sports, 1140. Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140
on Sacktown Sports.
$12 on the dot, and I'm not sure if anybody saw the Hawks trade happening, and honestly, it was more than just a Hawks trade. There was a lot going on, and this is busy time. By the way, just real quick, and just because I'm going through everything that Shams has said lately, real quick, are we, now that Woj has retired, is there anybody? Is there ever going to be somebody to battle Shams? Or is
Chris Haynes?
I don't think he's really in the game like that anymore.
I think so. It's interesting. It depends how much people value the news breaking, right? Because I don't know if we've talked about this before, but Shams used to be Woj's protege.
Right.
I can't remember if it was The Vertical or Yahoo or whichever one it was. And then when Woj left to go to ESPN, Shams replaced Woj and then ended up battling with Woj in the information game. So I don't know if there's a market for another news breaker because Shams is breaking all the news. He's the guy. I just don't know. Would there ever be a need for another newsbreaker who's like trying to do the Shams thing? Because like it was weird that it was Woj is on ESPN and then Shams was doing like FanDuel TV or whatever. Like there just wasn't really much of a market for a second person. He was just working for the Athletic.
Because in the NFL, there's Schefter, and then there's the NFL Network dudes. Who it's always the three of them together. That's it.
Garofalo, and Pelissero.
Yes, all the 3-syllable.
Rappaport.
All the 4 and 3-syllable dudes.
Garofalo,
Yes.
Rappaport.
They're he's 3, but then the other one.
what was it? Pelissero.
Yes. All of them, the arrows, they just all they break the NFL news. And then
Schefter.
And Schefter. In baseball, I think because it's more market-based, passing gets the big stuff, but some stuff is not big enough for passing.
No, baseball has a lot of these guys, though.
No, that's what I'm saying. Baseball has the most now.
Because they've got Heymans.
And they're all old as hell.
Well, that's the other part of it. What is it? JP Barosi's not that old. Ken Rosenthal's not that old yet.
Yeah, they've been doing it. Yeah. They've had the marker cornered for a while. I'll put it to you like that.
On baseball information, because baseball is kind of the sport where the transaction has always meant the most, right?
Mm-hmm.
Trade deadline day has been a thing in baseball for 25 years.
Yeah.
And in basketball, I think it's really only the last 8 or 10 where it's really kind of become such an event.
Yeah, so I guess there's no, because, there's always, the kids these days, the streamers, they got a Kai Cenat, so everybody wants to be the next Kai or whatever. There's nobody out there, I'm going to be the next Shams. That's what I would assume a new Shams would have evolved from now. But maybe it's just monopolized to where I don't have to tell you anything because I'll just tell Shams.
I guess it's just the news breaking thing. By the way, I think Shams might not even be 30 yet.
He's not 30.
Yeah,
And let me tell you this right now.
Oh, he's 31. Okay.
He's a proud Zont as well. Proud Zont. Shams and I. Yeah, go. You want to make fun of me not being 6 foot? Go make fun of Shams. I bet you won't do it.
Shams, for those who don't know this story, Shams was breaking. What was that? It was Dwight Howard to the Hawks. I can't remember what year that was exactly, but he was 22 years old and breaking Dwight Howard signing with the Hawks type of stuff. This dude, maybe that's why the market is cornered. He's younger than all these people who could possibly. I'm sure Jake Fisher is probably older than.
Yeah, that's who it is, though. Jake is in the background, like the KD picture with Russell Westbrook. He's in the background side-eyeing Shams saying soon.
I want to believe in our guy, Chris Haynes.
He's doing other stuff now.
Haynes?
He's doing briefs.
But that's because he doesn't have an employer anymore, right? He was the newsbreaker for Turner.
Right.
And then when Turner lost the NBA rights, they just didn't renew his contract.
He's still got connections. He's breaking different types of news.
He's breaking Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum news.
Yes. And he's breaking, he broke the Kings. What was that? The team meeting?
Yeah.
He broke the team meeting.
But he's based in Sacramento, right?
Yeah.
So obviously he's got connections here. It's just, I want to believe in him. I just don't. Shams,
Mark Spears will pop up every now and then.
Yeah, Windhorst will have something.
Windhorst, but it's Shams' world, man.
The Steinline will always have something.
Steinline, Jake Fisher deal, but
and then Ian Begley has all the Knicks news,
right?
And I don't know why, but he just always has the Knicks news.
Well, this is what Shams broke yesterday. Boston, Atlanta, and Brooklyn are finalizing a 3-team trade that sends Kristaps Porzingis and a second-round pick to the Hawks. Terrence Mann and Atlanta's number 22 pick to the Nets. And Georges Niang. I really wanted Niang. I've been trying to tell y'all that. Georges Niang and a second-rounder to the Celtics. I'm telling you right now, Niang, if they keep Niang, he's going to cook on the Celtics. The dude shot 41% from 3.
He's from Boston, too.
I'm telling you. Mark my words. Everyone, who is this? Trust me on this. They know what they're doing.
I don't know. The Cavs were okay giving him away for basically nothing.
I'm telling you. Mark my words on this. Okay, so a lot to break down in this trade. Number one, are the Hawks going to be good? Are they going to keep Kristaps? I first read this and thought he ain't going to be there long enough to get any lemon pepper wings. Then when I started to read the reasonings behind it, okay, and again, the Trae Young thing, there's been more conversation, and there are reports about Trae Young, the teammate, and whatever the case is, but there hasn't been a lot of actual smoke to say, yeah, the Hawks are interested in moving Trae. We've just the collective basketball world has just created it more so than anything else.
Yeah, because they have to do something,
right?
He can opt out of a player option next year, and then he's a free agent.
So I read this and I say, does this mean that is it a 1-year situation where they're willing to let Trae be free and assume that maybe they could sign him back? Does this mean that they're going to extend Trae? what does this mean for Trae Young?
So I think to understand Trae Young, let's first focus on Porzingis, right? Because now the Hawks are doing the dual timeline thing, right? They've got Reese Alshea and Dyson Daniels and Jalen Johnson and a bunch of young guys, Onyeka Okongwu, but their two best players are Trae Young and Porzingis, both of whom are either in their prime or, in the case of Porzingis, probably exiting their prime at this point, right? So if you're Porzingis, I think you're best off just taking a year, figuring out what Atlanta is like, and then just hitting free agency next year.
Yeah.
Right? Whether that's re-signing with Atlanta or not, you're probably better off not signing a long-term extension right now. So then if I'm Trae Young, I look at it like, am I going to be the foundation of the future, or are you guys going to prioritize these guys and then, package me or someone else for a star? I don't know. But if I'm Trae Young, I feel like if I want to stay in Atlanta, I just sign the extension now. And if Atlanta doesn't offer the extension, then you kind of have your answer.
So basically it is hey, let's add some more firepower in a down Eastern Conference situation and see what we can do.
They essentially just upgraded from Capella to Porzingis.
Sure. And the other part of this is now, as we continue to talk about the Hawks, but also make our way over to the Nets, bringing it back to the Kings and what the Kings may or may not want. The Kings are looking for a first rounder. Well, the Nets have 5, okay? 8, 19, 22, 26, and 27. That's insane.
Yeah, they've got, what is that? So they have 4 out of 7 picks in the middle of the first round of the draft.
So I think this is the conversation for me. 19 or 22, depending on how much the Kings like someone. Do you, and this is, if you're Scott Perry, again, going back to those timelines, how important is it to bring a 22-year-old in, right, when you have a core that is closer to 30 or already 30? Is it more about that core, or is it more about, I want to get in one of my dudes? Okay, and I can, and I think Keegan could be one of my dudes. I think Keon could be one of my dudes. I think Devin Carter could be one of my dudes. But what we got, I don't plan on Domantas Sabonis, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, even to a lesser degree Malik Monk. I don't really plan on any of them being on the squad in the next 4 or 5 years, but I plan on being here. So if I really like someone, am I willing to give up, hey, you take our 2026? I like Walter Clayton Jr. so much. I want 19 for a Kings 2026. And do the Nets say, yeah? I think the Nets would say yes to that. I think
it depends on the protections you put on it, right? Because if it's lottery protected, then the Nets are like, whatever, we'll just take the pick now.
That's how much do you want number 19? Now, with all this Walter Clayton buzz, that's why I'm saying this stuff could go down to the wire, where if 18 happens, right, and he's still there, do we say, hey, let's go get him?
So this is why I feel like calling your shot in the middle of the first round is less of a payoff than doing it early. And the reason I say that is, like, if you're picking, historically speaking, if you're picking between pick 10 and pick 30, you got like a 50-50 shot that player's going to be something in the NBA. I'm not even saying the next Tyrese Halliburton. I'm just saying a contributor. Mm-hmm. You got a 50-50 shot, right? Like Jake LaRavia, who was the 17th pick by the Memphis Grizzlies, that's considered a bust for Memphis because he got 2 years and then they got rid of him, right? So if you're calling your shot at 19 or 20, I feel like the chances of that player turning into a star are so low that it's not worth compromising a future pick that you don't know how your season is going to go. So it could end up being at the top. Now, like last year when Minnesota gave up a future first for Dillingham, that makes more sense because Dillingham was regarded as a top 5 prospect. if you're calling your shot now for Walter Clayton Jr., when next year's you have no idea what's going to happen at the trade deadline, you could be 13th in the West. If you're calling that shot now and compromising the future, you have no idea what that pick 19 or 20 or 21 is going to become. That's why it's hard for me to see a path to the Kings getting back into the first round that doesn't include trading a bunch of seconds for a first, right? Like you're trading up from 42 and maybe giving up a Charlotte pick or giving up both of the Charlotte picks in order to get back into the first round.
Yeah, and here is a breakdown just to, again, it actually will make you feel better about making the move. So last season it was Jacoby, and we talked a little bit about this, but last season was Jacoby Walter, right? Last season was Jacoby Walter as the 19th pick. In 2023, it was Brandon Pajemski. In 2022, it was Jake LaRavia. In 2021, it was Kai Jones.
Oh.
In 2020, it was Sadiq Bey. In 2019, it was Luka Samanic. Itch. Go get him.
He was really bad.
Get him.
I remember him. He was not good.
Kevin Huerter in 2018. John Collins in 2017. Malik Beasley in 2016. Jerian, not Jeremy, Jerian Grant in 2015. And Gary Harris in 2014. Am I crazy to say that that makes me feel better about going to get 19?
So
that's a pretty good group. Well, Kai Jones.
Well, let's play it this way. How many of those players were contributors? I'm not even saying a major contributor. Have been contributors on the team that drafted them, right? Because I don't
pods. Don't hate on pods.
No, Pajemski counts. LaRavia, no, because Memphis got rid of him. For better or for worse, Memphis got rid of him.
Okay.
Kai Jones, no. Sadiq Bey, no.
Kinda.
Samanic, no.
Well, he didn't have an upper.
Kevin Huerter, yes.
Yes.
John Collins, yes. Malik Beasley, yes. Jerian Grant, I'd probably say no. Gary Harris, I feel like that's a yes. If we keep going, Sergei Karasev, I'm going to say a no for that one. Andrew Nicholson, I'm going to say a no for that. Then Tobias Harris, yes. Avery Bradley, yes. So if we go back 14 years, not including Jacoby, 14 years, 7 of the 14 were contributors on the team that drafted them. That's a 50% success rate, right? Mm-hmm. Historically speaking, you got a 50-50 shot that pick 19 is ever going to do something for your team.
I like it. And I really like it. If you like it, I love it, right? That's what they say. If you like it, Sacramento, I love it. Or if you'd rather just wait and see what happens. And honestly, I feel like this is more so the case because we feel like this every season, right? We feel like this every off season. Oh my goodness, we have an opportunity. Oh my goodness, we have, the draft is this, and you're going to talk yourself up, and you're going to do all this trade, trade research. So you do it every single year. This year is no different. If you really feel like your point guard or whoever, wing, whatever of the future is there, go get them. But again, and this is what has been reported, and this is what we've said on this show and on the morning show. I don't know as of right now if they like anyone that much to do it. As far as what other teams are doing, this is what gets really scary for the arms race in the Western Conference. So now Brett Siegel, friend of the show, is reporting that the Utah Jazz, who are spearheaded by former Celtics executives Danny Ainge and his son Austin Ainge, made an aggressive push in the last couple of days for 2024 Finals MVP Jaylen Brown. Multiple league sources told Clutch Points. It was speculated that this trade proposal revolved around the 5th pick in the draft and multiple contributing talents in the final years of their contracts, which would provide immediate cap relief to Boston in 2026 to build around Jason Tatum. So this is what happens, right? These teams are now deciding if the Jazz were able to pull this off, okay, yeah, actually, we don't want to stink anymore either. Now, nobody wants to stink. and you'd have all of the Western Conference truly competing, which would be insane. Insane. And I think if you're the Kings, you could look at that like an opportunity to do the opposite. I'm just being honest. If the Jazz now land, and I'm not saying that the Jazz are going to be, contending for a championship, but okay, they got Jaylen Brown, Lauri Markkanen, which was just a bizarre setup. But now you keep Keontae George, and you pray that Cody Williams is anything like his brother. And now you're kind of fighting back and forth and trying to be a part of that conversation. Everybody is zigging, and Kings fans are just saying, just zag, Sacramento, just zag. And they don't want to zag either because they don't want people to zag up out them seats at the Golden One Center. They say, okay, cool, you want us to zag. Don't go anywhere. We just raise the prices. Well, that's the problem. You raise the prices, so you can't really zag. But that's the real deal here. Now, is some of this posturing? I don't know. Is some of this, all right, we've been getting fined for tanking. Let's at least pretend like we want to compete, even if we actually don't want to compete quite yet.
We're actually tanking for who's that tall guy who committed to BYU?
Yeah.
AJ?
AJ.
I don't remember what his name is. But
Adebonze, something like that.
Sure. We're trying to tank for him.
So now we're going to just do it all over again. He's already at BYU, just drive down the street. And you look here, and again, if they were to pull it off, then the Pelicans got Jordan Poole. So who would be, let's say the Jazz pull it off and get Jaylen Brown, then it flips and you get Jaylen Brown. Then all of a sudden, you're not getting rid of Colin. I know some of they're expiring, but then all of a sudden you're keeping one of Colin Sexton or Jordan Clark. You're not getting rid of both of them because now you've switched your thought process. We woke up this morning and now nobody in the Western Conference wants to stink. The Pelicans don't know it, but they do want to stink.
The Phoenix Suns.
The Phoenix Suns.
We'll see.
The Phoenix Suns.
We've seen Devin Booker finish at the bottom of the West before.
AJ DeBansta from BYU. That's from our guy Ramsey on the text line. Yeah, that's the one.
They'll just tank for him, man.
That's the one. But they're going to say, no, we tried to get Jaylen Brown. We just offered Walker Kessler and some of Allen's Blue Diamond wasabi and soy sauce almonds.
Better than the smokehouse ones, apparently.
Yeah, that's what we offered. So I don't know if I buy it with the Jazz, to be completely honest with you. I'm not saying Brett Siegel didn't get that information. I'm just saying I don't really believe that the Jazz want Jaylen Brown and want to flip, and now all of a sudden. So now, like I said, all of the Western Conference, nobody is tanking.
Yeah, but I understand if you're Boston wanting to strike while the iron's hot, right? Because a player like Jaylen Brown only becomes available, A, when he's overpaid, which he probably is. That's not a disrespect to him as a player. He's just the highest paid player in the sport right now. Either A, you're overpaid, or B, you are a team that is going in it through a transition phase right now, right? So that the way Siegel frames it is like they would send John Collins and a couple of their young players and the number 5 pick to Boston so that Boston could have the young players to then trade for another Jaylen Brown when they're ready to compete again, when Tatum comes back. But if you're Boston, I think you're better off just hanging on to Jaylen Brown unless the plan is just we're going to blow this whole thing up.
Well, I was literally going to say that. Do you think, again, this whole situation with Dame being more of what we're used to, kind of saw it with Clay, but KD being a little bit older, we don't know what Jason Tatum's going to be. We don't know what Tyrese Halliburton's going to be. And we are all hoping the best. The NBA world, sports world, we're all hoping the best. If you are Boston, obviously we cannot trade Jason Tatum right now with his Achilles situation. Okay? So we're going to move off of Jaylen Brown. We're going to see how things look, get some young talent back, get some assets back from the Jazz because we know you got it. And if Jason Tatum isn't Jason Tatum or is just a lesser version of Jason Tatum, which we don't know, we are in a position to maybe he is good enough to, and obviously he's being paid a lot of money, but maybe at that point he gets traded, right? And he's a different type of Jason Tatum. We're just moving off of Jaylen Brown. We're moving off of Jaylen Brown to give ourselves options in case Jason Tatum isn't Jason Tatum, or in case he is Jason Tatum. He just gives us more options.
Trading Jaylen Brown right now, which I know that I think Windhorst reported multiple teams are trying to get Jaylen Brown and Derek White. Trading one of those two guys right now would be the same reason, specifically Jaylen Brown, is the same reason why Minnesota traded Karl Anthony Towns last year, which is he's a very good player right now. We just don't want to pay a 4-year, $250 million contract because it locks us into what we're able to build around Tatum, who's about to get a supermax, and Jaylen Brown, who's at a supermax. We just can't build a contender around both of them making $70 million.
When we return, how good could Cooper Flagg actually be? And do the Kings want to get real spicy tonight when the first name gets said in the NBA draft? Down south,
with Progressive, renters can save on protection for the things that make your place yours, even things that don't make sense to everyone.
People always wonder why I don't get rid of my guitar since I never play. But it's like, what if I actually end up taking lessons? Sure, I've had it for 8 years, but if I get rid of it, then what will my New Year's resolution be next January?
Exactly. So bundle your renters and auto and save with Progressive and protect the things that make sense to you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates and other insurers not available in all states or situations, covered subject to policy terms and conditions.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Jane has 150,000 miles on her truck, and she's proud of that. Jane's secret, AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help her find the right parts. Jane's brother Josh only cares that his car starts and goes, but when it doesn't, he also goes to AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help with free services. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply.
Hey, movie fans, get ready for the most authentic racing film there's ever been. F1, the IMAX experience.
They're saying Sonny Hayes isn't a husband. He's a never was.
Starring Brad Pitt, F1 the movie puts you in the driver's seat of high-octane drama and speed. Filmed for IMAX, feel the rush of the track like never before on the Esquire IMAX 6-story screen with horsepower audio. Get your reserved seats today at IMAX.com/Sacramento. F1 playing this week at the Esquire IMAX Theater.
Oh, and that's a hard foul. Let's listen for the call on the floor.
The taxpayer owes back taxes. Penalties and interest are assessed and wage garnishments to begin immediately.
The IRS never misses that call. I wonder if they will challenge it.
The call is under review.
Priority Tax Relief has been called in for a review. Priority is the best in the business at negotiating your tax debt and has even eliminated the debt for some clients. Priority Tax Relief is saving their clients millions of dollars every month.
After a careful review from Priority Tax Relief, the debt has been eliminated. No foul on the play.
Whoa! That completely changes the game, folks.
If you owe more than $5,000, call Priority Tax Relief, and in minutes they'll review your case for free with a direct line to the IRS to see if you qualify for life-changing relief. No more worrying about wage garnishments or frozen bank accounts. Call Priority Tax Relief today at 800-899-2289. That's 800-899-2289.
We make your tax relief our priority.
Call now. Priority Tax Relief.
What's up? We're talking to Chad Hoblet of Hoblet Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, and Woodland. Chad, what's going on for the Employee Pricing Plus sales event?
Anyone can get you employee pricing, but at Hoblet, it's all about the plus that you can only get here. Save up to $13,000 off MSRP on brand new 2025 heavy-duty Ram 2500 and 3500s. We have over 500 new Rams available, so your new Ram is waiting at Hoblet.
Well, how do you like the new heavy-duty trucks?
I love it. I took the new Ram 2500 with the high-output diesel and 8-speed transmission to Tahoe last weekend, and I have to say, I've not had this much fun driving a new truck in a long time. I've been driving diesels for 25 years, and this is easily the most fun, most powerful, and most responsive truck so far.
Search, select, and save through their whole inventory at HobletDodge.com. Unbeatable prices, unbeatable selection. Nobody beats Hoblet, period.
13,000 total net savings on select new 2025 Ram 2500 and 3500 Laramie after 4,000 factory rebates and 9,000 dealer discounts. Rebates may include 2,500 select inventory bonus cash and $500 on the job upfit. Must show eligible upfit. Aid to this net savings. Sample VIN 525043.
your home for Kings talk and so much more.
Live and local.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
Kings are trying to get into the first round, but there are teams like the Nets that are all over the first round, and obviously the Mavs with the curious jump to the number one pick. And what could we be getting from that number one pick? And I want to play this audio for you. Kendrick Perkins is just being funny, being Kendrick Perkins, and we got some sound from Brian Scalabrine. But I was double checking because, I'll double check the audio before we play it, and then I'll send it over to Kyle. I was re-listening to what Brian Scalabrine said, and it really just set something off in my brain as far as the draft today. And this is no disrespect to Jace Richardson. This is no disrespect to Walter Clayton Jr. And I would never disrespect. They're not Zonts because they're 6'2", 6'3", but I would never disrespect somebody based on their stature, but based on what the Kings need. Brian Scalabrine says something when he's describing Cooper Flagg that just it brought back a conversation for me, and I'm really excited to kind of bring it up to everyone. But let's have some fun real quick with what Kendrick Perkins had to say.
This is how I look at Cooper Flagg. If LeBron James and Kevin Garnett had a baby, you get Cooper Flagg. And why I say that is because when you think this is how I look at Cooper Flagg. If LeBron James and Kevin Garnett had a baby, you get Cooper Flagg.
I mean, that's crazy, but I'll take that player all day long.
Cooper Flagg. If LeBron James and Kevin Garnett had a baby, you get Cooper Flagg.
There you go.
So, I'm having a hard time with how good Cooper Flagg is actually going to be.
Just wait till this Scalabrine sound. Just wait. Let's play it right now and go from there. Here it is.
LeBron James. He's just not an F1 racer. LeBron is 260 fast, 440, head above the rim. Cooper Flagg's not a bad athlete. He's a good athlete. He's a great athlete. LeBron's a super athlete, but they process the same. I know it's unfair, but I'll eventually be right. People will know. Like 3 years from now, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, Scal said it." If he has the same longevity, that's. I'm just giving you a comparison of what he could be, but not. You can't look at 50,000 points, the championships, and any of that stuff. There's some variable to that, but LeBron has scored 50,000 points, doesn't have a go-to shot. I'm not sure he has a go-to shot. He's just a basketball player that makes things happen. LeBron's a freak of nature defensively. He's a freak of nature defensively. LeBron can run point. He can run point. 6'8" point guard, 6'8" point guard. Like he trends like that more than a shooting guard or a Kawhi Leonard or anything like that. And it's just, he doesn't want to say it, but that's what it's going to be.
Yahoo. He doesn't want to say he's the next LeBron, but that's what it's going to be. So I don't know if Cooper Flagg is going to be the next LeBron James. And, Scalabrine was asked who is a comp, right? And he said Scalabrine. Scal will eventually be right. You'll see in a couple years. And that just tickled me. I don't know why. But
Scal was right.
Scal was right, man. That's the first thing I'm going to say. 5 years from now, Cooper Flagg holding up his third championship. You know what? Scal was right, man. That's the first thing that's going to come into my brain. Scal was right. But I don't know what Cooper Flagg is going to be. What stuck out to me as we're having this conversation about point guard, Walter Clayton Jr. Go get your point guard. I'm mad about Dennis Schroder. I want Tyus Jones. And he's sitting here. This is the conversation to bring it all the way back to what we talked about in the first segment. You don't have to move you don't have to move Devin Booker. You don't have to move Malik Monk. You don't have to move these guys if you start to target dudes that can do more than one thing. The Sacramento designated hitters. That's what we should call the Kings. The Sacramento designated hitters. You got a guy that can score, but he can't do anything else. You got a guy that can rebound. He can't really do anything else. You got a guy that can defend, but he can't really do anything else. You got a guy that can play two-man, but he can't really do anything else. The Sacramento designated hitters. The Sacramento one-trick ponies. That's what they are. You got a guy that can shoot threes, but he can't do anything else. So now we need a point guard. Now they got a guy that can do a point guard, but he's 6'3", so he's probably trash on defense. We don't have to continue to do this. So I don't know why we have to focus now on a 6'3" Walter Clayton Jr. because he was the darling of March Madness. If you're going to jump into the 20th or whatever it is, and based on what the timeline is, I say bleep going out and getting somebody like that. Go get a 6'8" guy that can handle the rock. They're out there. Go get somebody that can do multiple things, that projects to do multiple things. Why in the hell are you going to go draft a 6'3" point guard? Because right now, as of 12:34, you have a point guard problem. We're sitting here, and I get it. We're talking about LeBron James. We're talking about Cooper Flag. I get that. But again, we talked about the Thunder. Jalen Williams can run the offense. Shea could run the offense. So you can keep a Caruso and a Lou Dort. But you keep on just handling one issue, right? When you look at it like money, oh man, I wish I had more money. And we're struggling here. We need to make some more money. And you're under, let's say every time you pay your bills, you are under your the amount of money you need, right? You're losing about $100 a month. Man, we're underwater $100. Are you going to go out and look for a job that only pays you that $100 a month? No. You're going to go out and look for a job that can pay you more than that. So not only are you no longer losing money, you're starting to save some money and make some money. So I don't know what just clicked in me listening to Scal, but why are we going to go out and draft somebody for one issue when you can go get somebody and maybe you miss on them? But this is why the Devin Carter thing for me didn't make a ton of sense, because I'm just more of the ceiling type of guy. Go take some swings. Tejan Salam might stink, right? And they probably shouldn't have drafted him that early.
Oh, now you're backing off.
But they probably should have drafted him that early.
Don't give up, Allen.
I saw the vision, right? You're starting to look. You're starting to take some swings.
The visions are clear.
So you're gonna give up a pick in 2026 for a 22-year-old 6'3" point guard that most Kings fans didn't even know about until March Madness? I'm not saying the Kings didn't know about them, but now everyone go get Walter Clayton because you watched him beat your team in March Madness.
Because everyone apparently wants him.
Yeah,
but,
now that's a hot go. But everyone is not you.
But everyone's also not a team in the top 19 picks.
Right. Everyone is not you, Sacramento. You need more. You need to go get a Swiss Army knife. If you're going to go into the first round, go get you something that's going to turn some heads. And I know this, maybe I'm wrong on Walter Clayton, but to Kyle's point, when we're reading through Pajemski, Laravia, Kai Jones, Sadiq Bey, Kevin Huerter, John Collins, Malik Beasley, good players. Maybe this is an argument to not make the move at all. But making the move, giving up a pick, we'll see what the protections could be. Obviously, nothing's happened yet. To go get Walter Clayton Jr. doesn't really tickle my fancy. I'm not tickled. I'm not moved. We got dudes out here that can do multiple things. Jason Tatum is running the point. This is why the point guard position is not like the running back position in football, but it ain't far off. Because we have guys that can do that. Giannis is going to bring the ball up. Chill. Jokic can bring the ball up. Chill. We got forwards that can bring the ball up and initiate the offense. Anthony Edwards. Yeah, we got Mike Conley just kind of hanging out. But Anthony Edwards can initiate the offense. We got that. Julius Randle can also do that. But we got to sit here. We got to sneak up in the draft to go get a 6'3" point guard. Because right now, the Kings need a point guard who, by the way, those timelines wouldn't even make sense. They're all almost 30 or older. So you're going to go get a 22-year-old point guard? What are we actually talking about? And I would like to think maybe Scott Perry shares my sentiments and they don't do anything. But if you are, and everybody knows I like Grant Nelson now. I'm on Grant Nelson watch. Okay, 6'11". People are saying he's kind of a Walmart Cooper Flag. I don't call him whatever the hell you want. Get him to Sacramento. Okay, that's who I like. But you're seeing here these names come out. I'm not giving up assets, or I'm not doing that for a 6'3" point guard. So people think Allen hates on Devin Carter. No, I'm just seeing that around the league is positionless basketball, and you have guys that can do multiple things. Meanwhile, the Kings are like, okay, we have our shooting guard here. We got our center here. We got our forward here and our other forward. That's not what it is anymore. We need guys that are just about that action and can do different things. So going to get a 6'2", 6'3" point guard does not wake me up in the morning. It does not get me going at all. I don't know what it is. I was just listening to Brian Scalabrine talk about, 6'7" point guards and things like that. And if you are going to go get a point guard, go get somebody that when they switch them defensively, it's not mouse in the house.
3 years from now, they'll be like, oh yeah, Scal said it.
Scal said it. And I know these are number one picks. I understand that.
Oh yeah, Scal said it.
6'6" Cade Cunningham. You switch off them, it's still bad. It's still bad news Bears.
Scal said it.
You cannot look. Like I said, if they want to draft somebody, if they had a first-round pick, I would think much differently. But you're going up to go get a 6'3" point guard. Look, like I said, The Bachelor is going on right now, and Love Island, and I would do terribly at my current stature. I wouldn't make it a second on Love Island. And I saw the dating apps, they got height requirements too now, which is ridiculous. I'm so glad I'm out the game. But if you go get a point guard, the brother better be 6'5" with no shoes on.
There's a couple Zont Kings on Love Island,
and they
right
get
now.
roasted. They get roasted. I've watched Love Island long enough. You go get a point guard, they better be 6'5" with no shoes on. You have to be able to do different things. Stop drafting just for specific needs. And I'm not saying that the Kings are going to do, or not even a need, because Devin Carter wasn't a need. It was just I think this guy's pretty good. I think this guy, he's going to be a guy. Yeah, he can't play right now, but I think he's going to be good. And
Scal said it.
And then we'll see what happens after that. All right, when we return, Josh Kroenke, he's saying some things about Nikola Jokic that there's really no need to say. We'll tell you what it is when we return. Am I crazy, by the way? 916-339-1140. Hop on the phone lines. We got a little bit more time with you, a little over an hour. Alan Stiles, Show Sports.
I'm Ken Korak with your Green and Gold Report, brought to you by Comcast Business, powering possibilities. Well, there's a real chance of Jacob Wilson starting the All-Star game. As of the start of the A's current trip, he had a 250,000 vote lead at shortstop. Next up, the final vote of the top two finishers. If he wins that, he'll become the first A's shortstop to start the game in 50 years. Comcast Business helps turn today's small businesses into engines of modern business. It's how restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. It's how retailers become seamlessly restocking, cyber-securing must-visit shops. And it's how healthcare offices become data-managing caregivers that we all depend on. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, advanced fiber solutions, and Wi-Fi backup, Comcast Business is powering the engine of modern business.
Get ready for a night out with Jordan Davis. It's Country in the Park 2, Saturday, September 13th at Cal Expo. Along with the special guests Mitchell Tenpenny, Locash, Vincent Mason, and Avery-Anna. Make it a family day out with food trucks, games, dancing, and more. Saturday, September 13th at Cal Expo with Hoblit Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center. Tickets and info at CITPFest.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Jane has 150,000 miles on her truck, and she's proud of that. Jane's secret? AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help her find the right parts. Jane's brother Josh only cares that his car starts and goes, but when it doesn't, He also goes to AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help with free services. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Progressive knows when you're on your boat, you're already on vacation. And Vacation You forgets all your worries. Vacation You doesn't even keep track of time and knows that time is a meaningless construct designed to control us, man. But Regular You knows you don't want to be too far out in the water after the sun goes down because Vacation You doesn't know how to navigate in the dark yet. Vacation You and Regular You really need to get on the same page. So bundle your boat with your home or auto policy and earn an automatic discount from Progressive. And spend the savings on the both of you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Around here, the summer can smack you silly, especially if your AC is not functioning at a high level. Whitey Gleason here. I had the opposite problem over the winter. System went down. It was panic time, but Lee's Air Plumbing and Heating saved the day. Let them save you from unnecessary summer misery. Lee's Air Plumbing and Heating, reliable, trustworthy. They do great work. They won awards for their service. Check the reviews at leesair.com. Find out about their $99 HVAC tune-up service. Save your summer now. Lee's Air Plumbing and Heating on the web at leesair.com. License number 635355.
Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140.
on Sacktown Sports.
Allen Stiles taking you up to 2 p.m. And we are rocking and rolling here in the end of the 12 o'clock hour. And a lot of people are having conversations about what I had to say as far as what the Kings have going on and what the Kings may possibly do here leading up to the draft. And I think the reality is, now that I've calmed down a bit, okay, went to break and I've calmed down a bit, I think the reality is they just have to like someone enough, right? And obviously I don't have any control over this. I'm just tired of them just specifically fixing one thing here, one thing there, and going on. And the 279 says Swiss knives aren't allowed at G1C. Well, they're not allowed if you're off the court. And yeah, clearly they haven't been allowed on the court either. And, there's some guys, I would say Jake LaRavia, who the Kings might lose, but Jake LaRavia, I'm not really counting Domantas Sabonis, right? It's a tough one, but outside of Domantas Sabonis, let's look at it. How many Swiss Army knives do the Kings have? Keegan. Like I said, Jake LaRavia, we don't know if he's going to stay or not, but I would say Keegan, Keon.
Well, now you're just doing players who can play defense.
Well, no, and can score the basketball. I don't know that. I'm not calling Devin Carter a Swiss Army knife yet.
Keon can shoot the basketball.
Keon is.
I don't think
there's a reason his value. If he was a brick, he would not be garnering the trade interest that he's currently.
But if he were a playmaker, he would be.
That's not what I'm saying, though. Swiss Army knife. Come on, they ain't all gonna have them all.
I mean,
Jaden McDaniels isn't a playmaker. I'd call him a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, but Jaden McDaniels is also 6'8" with a 7'1" wingspan.
I'm just saying.
And like Aaron Nesmith is not a Swiss Army knife, but he shoots threes at like a 47% rate. So like the things he does, he's like elite at.
Keegan Murray and Keon Ellis. You don't have to agree.
I do disagree.
That's who. So how many do they have to you? None. Just Keegan.
I really just be chilling for real.
I would say Keegan. And that's probably about it.
That's a problem. Look, we're arguing one guy. We're arguing one more guy. That's a problem. That's a problem that we're arguing one guy. And the two guys that we said Swiss Army knives, neither of them handle the basketball. Where Keon can, but Keon is not a playmaker. Keon, his prop talk assist be set at 1.5 as a guard.
I guess the problem more so is that they gave up De'Aaron Fox, who could play make at all three levels and was a steals leader for Zach LaVine, who's not a Swiss Army.
That does seem to be an issue. That does seem to be quite the issue. 916-339-1140, taking your calls. And again, we're talking about our issues, and at the same time, at least the Nuggets were able to walk away with a championship before it was all said and done, because Josh Kroenke, owner of the Nuggets, saying some really, really just random kind of bizarre stuff. And Kyle, let's get to it. There are two kind of pieces of audio that he said. And the first one, people are kind of alluding to whether or not he's talking about getting rid of Jokic. Here it is.
And, I think that for us as an organization, going into that second apron is not necessarily something that we're scared of. I think that there are rules around it that we needed to be very careful of with our injury history. The wrong person gets injured, and very quickly you're into a scenario where that I never want to have to contemplate, and that's trading number 15. And so, we're very conscious of that pushing forward and, providing the resources that we can when the moment arrives. But that second apron, is it a hard cap? I'm not 100% sure, but it's something that teams are obviously very aware of going forward.
Nobody at all. Not a single soul. Still not one person. Josh Kroenke, we'd hate to trade number 15. We're an injury away from having to trade number 15. What in the world is he talking about? Why are you even bringing this up? And even if that's true, why are you saying it out loud? So now a lot of people are saying, is he kind of unofficially saying we'd listen? Because if there's somebody that you wouldn't listen ever to, why are you bringing up a scenario that hasn't happened, right? Why are you doing that? You know what I mean? I have a little sister, right? And she would, she's a rat sometimes. And we're going, our parents, something happens that she says, well, Allen said, well, why are you saying that's not what happened though? Allen said, if you guys didn't show up on time, whoa. Why are you saying that? That wasn't even something, it didn't happen. So why, or it has not happened. So why are you putting my business out on the streets? We're supposed to be cool. We're brother, sister. We're supposed to be in this together. Josh Kroenke, why are you saying this out loud?
Why are you even suggesting it?
Why?
Because now everyone's
nobody's hurt, right? He's essentially saying if Jamal Murray goes down again, we're going to have to trade Jokic.
Well, no, Michael Porter Jr.'s also had injury issues.
Right. If somebody that we're paying big money to goes down.
It's like these fragile guys, if they go down and we're in the second apron, then we're screwed. Which, hey, good luck to you. If you want to dip your toe in the second apron and then immediately get out of there, good on you. But the solution to getting out of it is not to trade Jokic.
916-339-1140. Ken wants to talk about who the Kings should keep. Ken, what you got for us?
What's going on, gentlemen? How you doing this afternoon?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. We should just be talking about running this team back.
Okay.
Give Doug Christie an opportunity, man, to run the whole season, man, because chemistry is key. Half a season or less than a half a season, man, to get the chemistry right with DeRozan and LaVine, man, it's not enough time. We just need to enhance it, man. Add some more little flavor to it. Right now, it just got seasoning, salt, and pepper. We need some accent, some Mama Jean seasoning.
You need some Lawry's. You need some Lawry's, Ken.
Come on, man. Just enhance it, man. Because we got a good squad. Get that point guard we need. Get a big man to help Sabonis. And, man, we will be a very competitive team. And another note, hey, DeRozan and LaVine, your value can even get better because if you play a whole season and another team see you, you'd be like, hold on.
Yeah.
They might got another 2 years in the tank.
Right. So you would So you would want to keep when you say run it back, you would bring DeRozan back too.
Yes, I bring both of them back.
Okay. Ken on team run it back. Thanks for the call, Ken. You go get your point guard, right? And I know I was roasting drafting a point guard. I just don't think those timelines match up, right? Or either way, you'd still bring on Tyus Jones or Dennis Schroder, and then you kind of split that time. And you see what happens there. To Ken's point, and maybe in a different way, because a lot of people are against running it back. Even if you don't think this team is going to do something, this is what we talked about, and we've been continuing to talk about. Listen to what Ken said. Even if it doesn't work out, either way, you're quote-unquote stuck with the contracts, right? If DeMar DeRozan starts to ball out again and the Grizzlies say, dang, we actually do need another piece. Let's go get him. Dang, we actually do need something out here in, not New Orleans, but somewhere. The Bull, not the Bulls either. They've been to the Bulls. Dang, we do need something else in Minnesota. Let's go get him. Or we're willing to pay for Levine. A couple of things have been figured out with Naz Reid and Julius Randle. Let's go get him. Right? So even if you don't think that this team has much, right now they're kind of on the cusp of having value that Scott Perry could really cook with. And on the other side, if you want to take it to the next season, right? And this is what I've said. If I'm Scott Perry, I'm not tripping over forcing anything. I know Kings fans don't want to hear that, but I'm saying if I'm Scott Perry, because you got Domantas Sabonis with 2 years left. You have Zach LaVine, who would be expiring, assuming they don't do the Kyrie thing. You just let him walk after that $49 million. You have DeMar DeRozan, who that last year is not guaranteed at all, as we went through those guarantees in the first hour of the show. Malik Monk would, I think, maybe only have one more year left.
No, his is a 4-year deal, isn't it?
Or he would have 2 years left.
Yeah.
He would have 2 years
he has
left.
3 left right now.
Yes, he would have 2 years left, which is even more palatable than it is right now. Keon would be settled or going to some form of free agency. And Keegan Murray would be settled or headed to restricted free agency. So he would have a lot more flex. I know, like I said, nobody wants to hear that. But Scott Perry would have way more flexibility next season than this season. That's just the reality of the situation. One more hour with you. We are recapping everything that has gone down within the last 24 hours and then some when we return. Allen Stiles, Tech on Sports.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hi, Zoe Saldana. Welcome to T-Mobile. Here's your new iPhone 16 Pro on us.
Thanks. And here's my old phone to trade in.
You don't need a trade-in. When you switch to T-Mobile, we'll give you a new iPhone 16 Pro. Plus, we'll help you pay off your old phone up to $800, and you still get to keep it.
There's always a trade-in.
Not right now at T-Mobile.
I feel like I have to give you something in return for karma.
That's okay.
I don't really have much in my purse. Oh, let's see. Hand sanitizer. It's lavender.
I'm good. Seriously.
Let me check this pocket. Oh, mints?
Really, I'm fine.
Oh, I have raisins. I'm a mom. Wait 1 sec. I've got cupcakes in the car.
It's our best iPhone offer ever. Switch to T-Mobile. Get a new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence on us. No trade-in needed. We'll even pay off your phone up to $800.
With 24 monthly bill credits, new line $100 plus a month and experience beyond finance agreement $999.99 and qualifying for it. For well qualified plus tax and $10 connection charge. Pay off via virtual prepaid card below 15 days. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. See T-Mobile.com.
With 25 award-winning years in Northern California, Ashton & Price is your local injury law firm. Pro attorney tip: if a firm presents as local but they're in LA, red flag. If your first consultation is not with a lawyer, big red flag. At Ashton & Price, your first consult is with a local attorney, and if serious injury prevents travel, a lawyer will come to you. Still not enough? George Washington's my uncle. At Ashton and Price, no red flags, just red, white, and blue.
Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton and Price.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave here for American Energy, and oh my goodness, I'm born and raised here. I know it gets hot, but my goodness, we're already seeing 100-degree days. Listen to me. You do not want your system to conk out in the middle of June or July or August with one of those big 100-degree stretches. You want to make sure you're good all summer long. And my friends at American Energy Heating and Air can do that with a $24.50 tune-up right now. That's half price. And if you need a new system, $3,500 off, up to $3,500 off in rebates for qualified systems. They've been around since 1981, serving the greater Sacramento area. A+ with the Better Business Bureau. Call them right now, 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990. Jingle Singers, take it away.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
KHTK HD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios, Sacktown Sports 1140.
Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140.
on Sacktown Sports.
1 o'clock on the dot. I'm in my drop top. 1 o'clock. Hold on now. It's 1 o'clock. It's 1:21. What does that mean? Excuse me. 21 seconds into the 1 o'clock hour.
Now 27.
2 minus 1 is 1 in the 1 o'clock hour. What does that mean? The Kings are going to find a way into the first round, but it's 20. So 20 minus the 1 that it is means that they will get pick 20. Woo-hoo!
And Jaime Jaquez.
And Jaime Jaquez. Here we come. Get into some of the texts here. 916-339-1140 if you want to be a part of the conversation. We have somebody saying that you're 3 Swiss Army knife guys on the team. We were having a conversation as Cooper Flagg, obviously going to be a stud muffin in the NBA. Cooper Flagg being looked at as one of those do-it-all guys, 6'8", that can handle the rock, can defend, things like that. Obviously, we know he's on another level. And I hope y'all are looking at Grant Nelson highlights during commercials, because I'm going to do that to hype myself up again. But we were having that conversation, and somebody said, I think the Swiss Army knife guys on the team are Keegan Murray and Keon Ellis. Kyle said, I'm only putting Keegan Murray in that conversation. A 916 said, I said I would love to put Jake LaRavia, but we don't know if he's going to be on the team again. Somebody else says, I think there's 3 Swiss Army knife guys are Keegan, Devin Carter, and Keon. I think that Carter has that potential, but I can't put him in that conversation now. And you could argue, I guess that's kind of your argument, Kyle, that Keon has that potential, but not putting him in that conversation now. And then somebody else said, I think you guys don't understand the actual definition of what a Swiss Army knife is. So maybe we can Google that.
I think I prefer the 5-tool model more than the Swiss Army knife model, but I think we're both talking about the same thing, right? If the 5 tools are ball handling, and it doesn't even have to be like...
This is from Victory Knox, okay? And they make them. They make Swiss Army knives.
Where are they from?
Victory Knox. Victory Knox.
Knoxville?
It's from... They got medium pocket knives. They got small pocket knives. And I have no clue if I'm allowed to even say this on the air. Since 1897, the Swiss Army knife has been... And
it's an American company making Swiss Army knives. I mean, what are they doing?
Man, American-made, Swiss fade.
Swiss what?
Yeah. Since 1897, the Swiss Army knife has been an iconic symbol of versatility and resilience, blending expert craftsmanship with intelligent functionality. 916. Now I'm gonna order one. Can we order one?
Can we order a Swiss Army knife? I can bring one in if you want.
Here we go. Blending expert craftsmanship with intelligent functionality, our Swiss-made knives provide smart solutions in every situation, whether you're up against the extraordinary or navigating everyday life. The Swiss Army knife ensures you're always prepared. Are you just saying that maybe the 916 is just joking, saying, or not joking, saying that the Kings have none? You don't know what you don't know what a Swiss Army knife is because clearly the Kings have.
Is
none.
It one of those things you just know it when you see it?
Yeah.
Like Aaron Wiggins, that's a Swiss Army knife.
So that is the situation that we are breaking down right now, and people are talking. Hey, they know Victorinox,
which is the only people in the world who make Swiss Army knives.
That's right. Spencer Lampkins on the Sack Chat says this is what we use in the butcher shop. Spencer, can I get a ribeye? Get a ribeye one time. 916-339.
The meat.
Yes, right. That's right. Taking you up to 2 p.m. All right, let's go over everything that has happened so far. You have Jason Anderson, all right, of the Sacramento Bee. This is the report. The Kings are expected to explore trades for DeMar DeRozan, a 6-time All-Star who averaged, we know what he averaged, 2 years left on his contract, $50.5 million remaining on the 3-year contract he signed. He is owed $24.8 million next season and $25.5 in 2026-2027. But then what got people up and going, Sacramento could also test the market for Domantas Sabonis. Now, I don't think that Domantas Sabonis is going anywhere, but when you look at first rounders, obviously once these trades get made, and things can happen leading up to the minute and leading up to these exact picks, but you start to lose the 2026, or that gets lost, right? Now you're looking at the future, which doesn't mean, it could open things up for some people as well, but that doesn't mean that nothing is going to happen. But okay, now if you're looking at a potential Domantas Sabonis deal, you're looking further into the future, because it's not that you're not allowed to move the recent draft picks, it's just nobody ever does it. So we're keeping a close eye on what could happen throughout the next couple hours here. You had Mark Stein talk about Dennis Schroder and the Kings being linked to Dennis Schroder, when that shouldn't surprise anybody. They were also linked to Tyus Jones. Who do you like? Does it even matter? I was going to say, who do you like better between the two? Does it matter?
Me personally, I like Dennis Schroder, because I believe if you're going to go the route of a 6-foot point guard that is primarily a ball handler and not a shooter, I would just go get Chris Paul. But at least Dennis Schroder, he can shoot threes.
That's the last infinity stone to drop of the free agent point guards. We have not, at least not to my knowledge, we haven't seen a report about the Kings and Chris Paul yet, right?
I haven't really seen reports of anyone in Chris Paul.
Where is he?
Well, he's in Los Angeles.
I just saw him on my TV, I feel like last night. I don't know what he was doing, though.
Okay, well, Chris Paul's the last one. Other than that, there's no other point guards left.
It's happening. Why is there no talk about Trey? Why aren't we doing the second draft thing? Which isn't Trey Jones a free agent too?
Yes, but
isn't he taller than his brother?
Yeah, but my point is, like, they could have had him at the trade for Fox. They actively chose not to trade for him.
Yeah, because they were making a play-in push.
But if he wasn't good enough, they had no point guard and chose not to add him.
Hold on, don't do that. Don't do revisionist history now.
They could have had him.
The Kings thought that Malik Monk could do it. Malik Monk thought he could do it. I know that for a fact. I can't get into it, but I know that.
Okay. You're
so that's why
Mr. Sources over here now.
I'm just saying that's why Trey Jones. That's why Trey Jones.
That's the right one.
That's why Trey Jones did not get discussed.
Okay, well then, sure, maybe we can try and get Trey Jones instead of Dennis Schroder, but Dennis Schroeder's probably a better player right now than Trey Jones is.
I guess I wouldn't be. Yeah, if you go get Dennis Schroder and you go get Walter Clay, again, if you weren't giving up, I just like the future, right? And Kings, maybe Kings shouldn't say, "Oh, we really can't give up these picks. We tend to stink," right? They shouldn't feel like that, but it's hard for me to give up draft capital, even if you're just swapping for somebody like we said. You're going to the 20s, and I hear what you're saying, Kyle. I mean, look at Rob Dillingham. He was on the trading block, and it was in order to get Kevin Durant, obviously. But I don't know. It's just, even if you go Schroder and Clayton, or Schroder and Jason Richardson, probably be gone by then. But
or Grant Nelson, right? If you
that's different.
If we wait until pick 42 to take the point guard, which, by the way, I don't know why we don't talk about that enough. Like, you can still get a fine prospect at number 42. It might not be Walter Clayton Jr., but you know what? They're not going to cost Walter Clayton Jr. prices, okay? You can get a fine player at 42. They're the new Colby Jones, and you're going to see if that player can develop into something, right? That's a fine strategy to go with.
So, yeah, I don't know. That's what it was. Yeah, Ramsey on the text line. Yeah, Chris Paul, his son is now, I think, if he ain't in high school, he's close, and that's why I saw him. Chris Paul's son, I think it's Chris Paul Jr., he's out here cooking now. That's where I saw Chris Paul. He's doing stuff with his son's AAU team. That's where I saw
those kids. I remember they used to be small, but that was probably like a decade ago. Are they high schoolers now?
That's what I'm always curious about. If you defied the odds, what's going to happen with your kids, right? Chris Paul, we don't know if he's actually 6 foot or not, but I don't know. I mean,
you're saying Muggsy Bogues' kids aren't the next.
Technically, he got NBA DNA, but I don't know. I know Isaiah Thomas, the pizza guy, he got at least one son. I don't know, man.
Pizza guy.
I don't know. Technically, yeah, I should. Are they the only NBA players that tell their sons, look, I know I did it, but
this is like the equivalent of Drew Brees' kids wanting to become NFL quarterbacks.
Or
It's
Kyler
like,
Murray has a son. It's, look, brother.
I don't know what to tell you.
I can't tell you no,
Look,
but
my dad was a Zont star. I'm a Zont star, but I don't know if you're going to be the next great quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't know. Kyler Murray was a good baseball player.
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe
Go
tell the kid
to take their little behind to the second base and stop playing. 916-339-1140. So Dennis Schroder has been linked to the Kings. Jason Anderson saying that the Kings are at least could. After yesterday, we just want to focus on what the actual quotes say. Sacramento could also test the market for Domantas Sabonis.
Oh, we should add that to our list of phrases. There was you're interested, shopping, testing the waters is a good one.
Well, we're going to get a bunch of them today as the draft is happening. I just hope I see tantalized. I just want to see the Kings are tantalized at the idea. That's all I want to see.
The Pelicans are tantalized by Jeremiah Fears at pick 7.
916-339-1140. AC wants to be a part of the conversation. What's up, AC? What you got for us?
Hey, you don't have to order Swiss Army stuff online, man. Take a week off from work and go to Switzerland like I did.
Oh, wow. AC living the good life. All right, I see AC.
So, what is the story with your opinion about which draft choices the Kings are leaning to, or is it way too early for that?
No, I don't think it's too early for it at all. And thanks for the call, AC. I'll see you out there in Switzerland. I hear it's beautiful this time of year.
I hear the Army knives are beautiful this time of year.
I hear they certainly are. The only name that I've heard floating around is Walter Clayton Jr. That's not to say that's the only name. That's the only name that I've heard. The Kings, they quote unquote like him. I was double checking today with some of the workouts. The Kings haven't even worked out anyone that's a projected first round pick.
Didn't they host Jeremiah Fears or do an interview with him at the Combine or something like that? But other than
maybe it's just the Combine versus the workouts.
But that was also before the lottery.
That's right.
So they didn't know whether they would not have the pick or not.
Great call. Post lottery, so it's kind of hard to read the tea leaves. The only name that I've heard floating around, I think Sean Cunningham was on this as well, Walter Clayton Jr. So that's a name, and that's why I was kind of not thrilled or riled myself up about that. But, there are a couple different directions that the that the Kings can go in. And everybody knows who I like. Great. I liked him since he, popped. Look, and I'm not going to say I'm above anybody else, right? Grant Nelson, he was balling for Alabama. What was that? 2 March Madnesses ago. That's when I fell in love with him. So I'm not going to sit here and say because I think he was at a much smaller D1. It was North Dakota or something like that, and he transferred to Alabama. So I'm not sitting here saying I'm any better than anybody else.
I think it was
I'm
North
also
Dakota State.
Yeah, something like that, or Montana State, something. I'm not going to say I'm any better than y'all. I'm also not in an NBA front office. So
yeah,
that's what it is.
You're the guy who thought Tejan Salon was going to be a star.
It's still early. He's probably just 19 right now.
You're the dummy who thought Tejan Salon and Cody Williams were going to be the next great players.
Cody Williams was not my guy. He's got championship. Does Cody Williams now move up in draft value because he technically has championship value or championship blood now?
I honestly think it's worse because you can look at his brother and be like, well, what are you doing over there, man? Come on.
Yeah.
Utah's looking at him like, we see the potential. Well, what are we doing here? Because for those who don't know, Cody Williams had a really bad rookie season with the Jazz last year. And
Jalen Williams' brother, recent champion of the Thunder.
But the good Jalen Williams, not the other Jalen Williams who didn't play.
Yeah. And also was looking for the tequila during the parade.
That's the bad Jalen Williams.
Yes.
The bad Jalen Williams. That was cute where he was like, shout out to the veterans on the team, and he's like 24.
Can I just say something since we're here, and I promise we'll get back on track, and we want to talk about whether or not you'd want Drew Holiday, and does Drew Holiday look any more attractive, AO, now that he is in Portland? Can I just say here, I was thinking about this, Kyle, and I might get in trouble for this. I don't care. Can I just say, and maybe there were pockets of the celebration for the Thunder. Can I just say, I'm not calling him a liar, but Isaiah Hartenstein getting up on the podium at 27 years old with Alex Caruso, and I know, people are drinking less, with Alex Caruso, with Lou Dort, with everybody in that locker room. Isaiah Hartenstein saying that nobody knew how to open a champagne bottle, I don't buy it. I just don't buy it.
We saw video.
Maybe there were like I said, maybe there were pockets of 2 or 3 dudes that together were trying to open a champagne bottle, but there's no way nobody on the Thunder knew how to open a champagne bottle.
There's video of it.
I just don't believe it.
They literally, there's video of them pulling up YouTube tutorials.
I'm saying maybe whoever who's 20, maybe Jalen Williams didn't know how, but there's no way everyone on that roster, nobody knew how to open a champagne bottle. I refuse to believe. I think they're just playing into we're cute and we're 14.
No, I think it's real.
It's not real. I just had to say that.
Caruso taught them how to do it.
Well, then he did know how to do it.
Yeah, Caruso did. No one else knew how to do it.
Ridiculous.
That's what he was saying, is that Caruso was the only one who was teaching everyone.
I think they're Shea Gilgeous. That dude's got champagne taste. He was wearing gold shoes during the chip. You don't know how to. Come on now. He's 27 years old.
Shea is the one that I think just wasn't there.
Right. Or just did not care enough.
He was busy.
He was doing a photo shoot somewhere. All right. So Drew Holiday, according to Heavy on Sports, is not happy being in Portland. I was having conversations with a couple listeners, a couple texters earlier in the show as to whether or not Drew would be happier in Sacramento. I'm just not really sure. I mean, where do we even start with what the Blazers would want? If the Blazers have said, okay, Drew, we did want to keep you, but if you really don't want to be here, and because that's the problem. We don't know if Scoot Henderson is good, and the Blazers are like a tier 2 below the Suns and the Kings for having a bunch of shooting guards. So they need a point guard. So if you say, okay, Drew, if you don't want to be here, you don't have to be here. We make a move with the Kings. The Kings obviously don't have a point guard, but you take something else the Blazers feel like they need, and then they do the Dennis Schroder thing, because then at that point, the Kings wouldn't need a Dennis Schroder or Tyus Jones.
It would have to be DeRozan, and DeRozan plays the 2 on that team, which, hey, Drew Holiday would be playing the 2 a lot on this Portland team. He would be a ball handler, sure, but I think Portland is clearing the runway for Scoot to start. And it's one of those, we got to either poop or get off the pot with
Right.
Scoot next season. Like, if it's not it, then maybe they are in the Ja Morant or the Jamal Murray or the Trae Young sweepstakes if this Scoot Henderson thing isn't going to work in year 3. But I do think the reason I think they're going to hold on to Drew Holiday, even if he's reluctant to go there, is that he just makes so much sense with what they're trying to do. Like, they're going to put him at the 2, and when Scoot sits, they can play him at the 1. And if I had to venture a guess, I think that Portland's probably going to take a point guard with the 11th pick in the draft tonight also, or a 2 guard, a point guard or a 2 guard. So I guess in that sense, they would just have to say DeRozan, they want more than Drew Holiday, which they probably could have already done that if they wanted it.
Yeah, I'm reading Brendan Nunez, what he had to say. He said this 8 minutes ago. If the Kings were to trade, and this is what I'm trying to say, man. If the Kings were to trade into the first round, I don't see why it would have to be for a guard. They should take the talent they like the best, regardless of position. Thank you, Brendan. That's the type of stuff I'm talking about. And what, tomorrow we'll have it'll be a lot of fun because we'll have the round table ahead of the Kings actually having a draft pick, or we'll be discussing the fact that the Kings did make a pick, but no problem with the Kings going into the first round. And I don't really look, if they really, really like Walter Clayton Jr. that much, I'll take their word for it and we'll see what happens. But this idea of, I just want to get out of this thinking of, again, the seesaw has leaned too much right to one side, where Monty was just kind of drafting whatever was clever. I like Devin Carter. Let's go get him. And now we'll move off of Davion Mitchell, even if Devin Carter wasn't healthy. Now we've moved on to, no, we need to draft for need. And that's not necessarily what you need to do either. It has to be. And you could ask the Warriors with James Wiseman. Speedy recovery. His Achilles is done now, but you can find a happy medium somewhere, and you should be finding that happy medium if you're trading up for someone. You're not going to trade up for the number 20 and just say, okay, now we're going to get whoever the best point guard is at number 20. You don't do that.
Yeah, you're trading for a very specific prospect because you're essentially calling your shot, right? Here's the paths that the Kings can take to get into the 20s without trading, a player. It is, you're trading next year's first round pick, which would essentially be calling your shot, or you're trading like 3 second-round picks to get into the first round, which again, it just limits the other moves you can make if you trade all of your future seconds. I think they have access to 4 right now. If you trade 3 of those to get pick 21, then you just don't have future seconds to make other moves. So you're essentially calling your shot if you're trading back into the first round to get a specific player, which is risky.
Right. And again, if Devin Carter is part of that conversation, right? If you're a team, and we'll do this more on the other side, but if you're a team that thinks, hey, we're in a position where we think Devin Carter, I know that the reports were that the Kings, and again, the quote was the Kings would be reluctant to move off of Keon Ellis, right? Reluctant. That's not to say they wouldn't do it. If there is a team up there that doesn't really feel like they need the pick in that way, you have some of those conversations. Say, okay, cool. Well, we can see what makes the most sense here. Keon Ellis obviously has the contract situation, and they would then follow through on that. But there are a lot of different options for the Kings, and I don't think anything is off the table. And that's what Jason Anderson, I know he was on the afternoon show, and he got aggregated and had to call out the aggregation and say, I never said anything was off the table at all. But the Kings, obviously it's not their first choice to trade their young talent unless somebody's making it worth their while. Now, there's a difference between driving something off the lot and getting to see a test drive or getting to test drive it, right? And if you look at Keon Ellis and you like what you see and you're sitting there in the teens and you think, hey, do we think the Kings would be interested in something like this? We think Keon can help us right now, and we don't really need this this number 15 pick, whatever it is. Let's see what their appetite is. So let's have an uncomfortable conversation about some of the reluctancy the Kings might have for some of their young talent. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
I'm Ken Korak with your Green and Gold Report, brought to you by Comcast Business, powering possibilities. Well, there's a real chance of Jacob Wilson starting the All-Star game. As of the start of the A's current trip, he had a 250,000 vote lead at shortstop. Next up, the final vote of the top two finishers. If he wins that, he'll become the first A's shortstop to start the game in 50 years. Comcast Business helps turn today's small businesses into engines of modern business. It's how restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. It's how retailers become seamlessly restocking, cyber-securing must-visit shops. And it's how healthcare offices become data-managing caregivers that we all depend on. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, advanced fiber solutions, and Wi-Fi backup, Comcast Business is powering the engine of modern business.
Hey, movie fans, get ready for the most authentic racing film there's ever been. F1, the IMAX experience.
They're saying Sonny Hayes isn't a husband. He's a never was.
Starring Brad Pitt, F1 the movie puts you in the driver's seat of high-octane drama and speed. Filmed for IMAX, feel the rush of the track like never before on the Esquire IMAX 6-story screen with horsepower audio. Get your reserved seats today at IMAX.com/Sacramento. F1 playing this week at the Esquire IMAX Theater.
Summer savings explode at latest Elk Grove Chevy. Save $12,000 off MSRP after rebates. Every new 2025 Silverado half-ton LT and RST in stock. Exclusively at MadeAChevy.com. Now that's big, huge. Together, let's drive.
Dealer for details. The Hagen Oaks Cutting Edge Putter Fitting Studio offers you more technology, more choices, and more service. Hagen Oaks wants to be your go-to total golf game fitter. With $30,000 worth of state-of-the-art technology ready for your fitting, Hagen Oaks will help you make your best putting stroke while finding the best putter design, shape, hosel, length, and loft for your game. Schedule your fitting at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio by calling 916-808-2531. That's 808-2531 for more.
Oh, and that's a hard foul. Let's listen for the call on the floor.
The taxpayer owes back taxes. Penalties and interest are assessed and wage garnishments to begin immediately.
The IRS never misses that call. I wonder if they will challenge it.
The call is under review.
Priority Tax Relief has been called in for a review. Priority is the best in the business at negotiating your tax debt and has even eliminated the debt for some clients. Priority Tax Relief is saving their clients millions of dollars every month.
After a careful review from Priority Tax Relief, the debt has been eliminated. No foul on the play.
Whoa! That completely changes the game, folks.
If you owe more than $5,000, call Priority Tax Relief, and in minutes they'll review your case for free with a direct line to the IRS to see if you qualify for life-changing relief. No more worrying about wage garnishments or frozen bank accounts. Call Priority Tax Relief today at 800-899-2289. That's 800-899-2289.
We make your tax relief our priority.
Call now.
Priority Tax Relief.
Get ready for a night out with Jordan Davis. It's Country in the Park 2, Saturday, September 13th at Cal Expo. Along with the special guests Mitchell Tenpenny, Low Cash, Vincent Mason, and Abriana. Make it a family day out with food trucks, games, dancing, and more. Saturday, September 13th at Cal Expo with Hoblit Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center. Tickets and info at CITPFest.com.
Around here, the summer can smack you silly, especially if your AC is not functioning at a high level. Whitey Gleason here. I had the opposite problem over the winter. System went down. It was panic time, but Lee's Air Plumbing and Heating saved the day. Let them save you from unnecessary summer misery. Lee's Air Plumbing and Heating, reliable, trustworthy. They do great work. They've won awards for their service. Check the reviews at leesair.com. Find out about their $99 HVAC tune-up service. Save your summer now. Lee's Air Plumbing and Heating on the web at leesair.com. License number 6353.
So here's the deal, man. Are there teams where you would have some uncomfortable conversations, right? And are there teams when it comes to Keegan and comes to Keon Ellis, could something nobody sees happening go down? Now, obviously, I don't think that could be the case, but so many people are making decisions, right? And again, this was the quote. Jason Anderson would be reluctant to part with either player. To my knowledge, no one is completely off limits. So we got 30 minutes left. Screw it. Let's get a little dicey here. So we can have some fun with Keon and we can have some fun with Keegan in a way. And we're just going to start the bidding. It's that simple. We're just going to start the damn bidding.
Of draft picks?
This season, 1v1. We want Keegan or we want Keon. I mean, whatever. Money is fine, whatever. But we want Keegan or we want Keon. What is the number draft pick? Now it's the Kings in the power position, right?
Okay.
So I want Keon, right? Let's say you get a call, ring, 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 ring a ding ding. Hello? Hey, it's Alex Rodriguez. And the Minnesota
Oh, God, I forgot that that's a thing now.
And the Minnesota Timberwolves with the 17th pick. We think that since we're going to lose Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Keon could be a good semi-replacement for him. Are you interested, Sacramento Kings? For Keon. No. Hey.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing the exercise. Okay. All right.
I need a little something else, you know?
Ring, ring, ring. Hey, it's the Atlanta Hawks with the 13th pick. We think Dyson Daniels and Keon Ellis would be ridiculous together in the backcourt because Trae Young is awful defensively. Are you interested in the 13th pick for Keon? We'll handle the contract after the fact. What do you say, Scott Perry? Is that where it starts? Because I got the Thunder at 15.
I think that's where it starts.
But I don't think the Thunder, you got the Thunder and the Spurs, and I just am not bringing up the Spurs. Spurs are at 14.
You just don't want to touch that.
You're just going to get hosed by the Spurs somehow. So we're not doing that. And the Thunder, I just don't think they need Keon. So unless Dortcher Chambers out the door.
No, I mean, Dort is a 4 on that team.
Yeah, so I just don't think the Thunder need Keon.
I guess that would be like if Case and Wallace. What was Case and Wallace pick? The 10th pick in the draft? So if they're saying, no, we don't want Keon Ellis, we have Case and Wallace, then I guess you're saying the 10th pick is too much because Case and Wallace was the 10th pick like a year ago.
So I think the Atlanta Hawks say, and everybody loves Keon, right? And the Kings, where does that reluctancy go away? Is it the 13th pick?
So you're saying a lottery pick is probably the threshold. A late lottery pick is probably where the Kings could be moved.
I think just for fun, the Grizzlies have 16. Now, I think the Grizzlies could use a Keon. I think a lot of teams could use a Keon.
Yeah.
But, hey, it's Memphis. Don't even ask. We're keeping Ja, but we'll give you 16 for Keon.
So this one's an interesting conversation because, again, this is presuming Keon's going to get an extension probably. So this is like a 4-year commitment you're signing up for. In this situation, who would you say is a more valuable long-term play? Keon Ellis or Denny Advia?
We're talking about the Grizzlies.
No, I'm just throwing this out here to get it market.
I mean, Denny.
See, this is interesting because he only had 1 year on the deal, but literally last year, Denny got traded for the 14th pick. Mm-hmm. Like that was a straight up swap that Washington and Portland made. So theoretically, if you're getting 4 years of Keon, is it about the same type of value?
But I don't know that you can look at it that way because we just watched Denny take a leap.
But is a team that was
pre-leap. That was pre-leap.
But is a team that is trading their lottery pick for Keon Ellis expecting the same type of leap?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. And let's not forget where Denny was initially drafted versus Keon, who wasn't even drafted.
Okay, I thought you were going to say Washington versus Sacramento, two equally well-run franchises that treat their players great.
So I think the conversation actually starts at 16. I'm not saying I would do it.
Yeah.
But I think the conversation starts at 16.
Sure, 15, 16, it's no real difference.
But would you do it at 16?
I wouldn't. At 15, we might have to talk, but I would say
what, one spot is that big for you?
No, I'm just being silly, but I would just want a second round pick, you know? Give me 16 and I don't know, let's see what Memphis has here. Memphis has 56. Just throw in 56. Who cares?
Yeah.
It's the last pick. It's basically the last pick in the draft.
Some of these names, and again, it's a timeline conversation, right? So I really have no clue what the Sixers are going to do, and a lot of these teams stink. So it's harder to discuss Keegan Murray, but just for the sake of the drill, they just got the Rockets.
The 10th pick just went to Phoenix.
It's with Phoenix. Phoenix ain't moving off. They can't. They quite literally can't. Okay, how about this? Raptors at 9 for Keegan Murray. Are the Raptors saying we're solid, or are the Kings saying we're solid?
That's a great question. That is a great question. If you offered that straight up with no player having to go,
we need somebody to stretch the floor because Brandon Ingram doesn't really shoot threes like that.
I think the Raptors would say they're solid.
I think they probably would too. I think in this draft specifically, I think in last year's draft, the Kings say we're solid. We're good.
Yeah. I think that's the tough
part. We're cool off that.
I don't know. The 9th pick would have been Zach Edey last year. So
yeah, don't.
I'm saying
no. No.
I'm saying if it's Zach Edey in a bad draft class and he's actually a fine pick.
No. So if 9 is where it starts, I'm just looking here. Here's another one. Hey, we want to pair up. The Murrays together, the lefty and the righty. We'll give you number 11 for Keegan. That feels low.
I think Portland would do that. But
does that feel low though?
I guess I would say yes, but
Portland. Where does the reluctancy end? Where does it end?
Portland's tough though, because I don't know what Portland's going to do with that pick. Right? They've already got 9 players. I don't know if a rookie really fits their timeline. Portland is a trade down candidate, I feel like, tonight.
That's a good call, but that's not the question. Are you trading Keegan Murray for number 11?
If I'm the Kings, no.
Okay.
But if I'm
top 10 is where the conversation starts for you.
Well, I think it's very team specific when we get into top 10 picks, right? Because I don't think there's anything you could do to move Brooklyn off of that 8 pick tonight.
No.
But
the later ones, yeah, which is why I think Jordy might be, Jordy ain't going to be in the conversation.
But the Pelicans at 7, depending on what they want to do, I think you could. It's just so team specific that it's hard.
I want the Pelicans to have a all wing lineup. I just want them to have Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, Keegan Murray, just all wings.
You joke, but isn't that basically the Rockets right now? It's just all wings and Fred VanVleet.
Well, but then you got Fred, and I guess DeJounte Murray about 6'5", 6'6", too. 916-339-1140. Let's sneak in TC before we get to a little bit of crosstalk. What's up, TC? What you got for us?
Hey, fired up. Hey, Allen, man. Hey, look. Hey, y'all. It's going down today. So, hey, I tapped in. I told Drapes, Whitey, and Jay about this guy. If we're trading in the first round and getting number 20 or whatever that's going to be, it has to be a point guard, dog, and it's that kid Nolan from France.
I just saw him. I have not gotten to watch his. How tall is he, TC?
Dude is like 6. He's either 6'3" or 6'4". Same height as De'Aaron Fox.
6'3".
6'3". Hold on. Listen. Everything is like Fox, bro, but he can pat. Listen, he's a steal at 19 years old, and then we're signing Dennis Schroder, right?
Yeah.
And Schroder, that's fine. DeRozan. If DeRozan is staying, bro, he has to come off the bench.
I hear you. Thanks for the call, TC. Yeah, I saw this guy pop up, and funny enough, it said he's starting to, it does say 6'5" when you Google him. He's starting to garner some of that first round or higher first round buzz. I'll tell you this much. I don't know, man. I just look at some of the French point guards who have been taken in the past, and I know the whole bet is I know everything is a gamble, but and really just I know what Dante Exum was Australian, but I don't know. I get worried. Tejan Salon, I know he's not a point guard, but they worry me, man. I know France has been hot in the streets lately.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I can follow TC with that one, but maybe we should get just a 6'3" anything, right? The idea, you're talking about the all forward lineup.
Yeah.
Let's see if the Kings can just do an all 6'3"
That's
lineup
right.
at some point. Devin Carter at the 4, Keon Ellis at the 3,
Yeah.
Dennis Schroder at the 1.
Malik.
Is Malik 6'3"?
Yeah.
I think he's a little taller than 6'3".
Is he? I hope.
I think he's got a little bit more than that, but I'm saying, can we, Davion Mitchell, can we bring him back? He
ain't he is not 6'3".
I think he's like 6'2", but the point is, can we just get an all 6'3" lineup for the Sacramento? Oh no, the StatMuse has Malik Monk at 6'3". I apologize.
Told you.
Let's get an all 6'3" lineup going for the Kings. Now I'm in on TC's Nolan Traore. If only that can complete the 5-man lineup of all 6'3" guys.
Just give me Grant. I'm gonna watch Grant Nelson highlights during this break, and it's a quick one. And then Whitey Gleason joins us to close out the show. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code POWER to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code POWER for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code POWER for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Bonneville International Radio Station contests are open to participants at least 18 years of age and older that are residents of California and who reside in one of the 6 counties that make up the Sacramento metro area, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest are not eligible to win. Unless the station otherwise specifies in its own discretion, persons who have won in the last 30 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. For a copy of the general contest rules, visit khtk.com.
The Giant Summer Sale is here. Get giant savings on our giant selection only at Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
Looking to own or lease? Save during the Giant Summer Sale and drive a brand new Accord or Civic. Visit us today at FolsomLakeHonda.com, your one-stop Honda shop.
As a family-owned and operated dealership since 2009, customer service is our #1 priority. Our customers love doing business with us, and you will too.
Go to FolsomLakeHonda.com.
Your one-stop Honda shop.
Looking for family fun, thrilling baseball, and unforgettable memories? Come out to Sutter Health Park and catch the Sacramento River Cats in action. Great games, great food, and great times await. Get your tickets now at rivercats.com.
Your home for Kings talk and so much more.
Live and local.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
Whitey Gleason joins us. I just cannot contain my. Look at this, Whitey.
Allen's making the classic mistake of watching some guy's mixtape and then saying, look at this. They got to draft him.
Hold on. No, I've been on this for a while. I've been so caught up in all these moves that the Kings were maybe going to make and maybe might still make. I didn't realize that Grant Nelson, he's kind of gone from a fringe first rounder. He's slipped a little bit, Whitey. So you have ESPN. They have him going 62 overall. CBS Sports has him going 51 overall.
And you want him at 42nd or higher?
No. I'm saying he's ours. I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Want him at 42nd?
The Athletic have him at number 73, but I mean, what are we talking about here?
Tankathon has him going undrafted.
Are you sure?
I'm positive he is not on here.
Keep looking. The Wi-Fi. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's
right.
ours now, Whitey.
That's it.
He's ours.
Why? Why is he ours? Why do we want him?
Why?
Yeah, it's a fair question.
Every time I go back to this
see him on his mixtape, he scores a basket.
Right.
For those who are listening on the radio, Allen is literally turning his laptop and showing Whitey highlights.
I'm putting Whitey on game. Look at this. Corner 3. Whitey, go get him.
Right.
Go get him.
Because he never misses a shot in his mixtape.
Look at that. He's passing the rock.
Oh, boy.
Think about under Sabonis' tutelage. Look at this.
Wait,
Whitey.
I thought he was a guard.
No, he's 6'11".
That's why I'm asking Whitey. Was he you play him at small forward? Can he play small forward?
Yeah. That's right.
Sure.
That's right.
What a fun sport where 6'3" Devin Carter and 6'11" Grant Nelson are apparently the same position.
No, they're not the same position. Okay? He's a stretch 4. And he can shoot the basketball. Whitey, you're missing it.
Yeah, I was just looking up some facts on our guy here.
By the way, they can't even take him tonight. This is going to be for tomorrow. You should be yelling about this.
Well, yes. I thought, that I shouldn't even be talking about this because I don't want the buzz to buzz.
You don't want people to get an idea.
That's right.
You're saying Brooklyn and their 8 first-round picks might swoop in and steal them.
Wait, look at this.
From
TC Talk Sports, biggest sleeper in the draft. TC just called. Any relation, TC?
Didn't you say somebody had him 62nd? Isn't that what you said? Because there's only 59 picks in the draft.
He said someone had him 73.
60th. Yeah, there's only 59.
No, 73rd.
73rd, yeah. Okay. See, those are not inspiring numbers.
Drew Timmy is what he is.
I will not.
He dreams of being Drew Timmy.
No. Bring him back too, by the way, while you're at it.
He's already on a team.
Who's your draft guy? I felt so confused, Whitey, since the Kings don't have a first rounder. I didn't even get to have all the fun we had last season looking up guys that the Kings were never going to draft anyway.
Kobe Bray's my guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kentucky.
Yeah. Ooh, he could shoot. Solid.
Yeah,
shooter.
I know. I'm big on him too.
6'7".
Oh, now, yep. And I know exactly who you're talking about now.
And he may not be there when they pick.
Okay.
I'm just answering your question.
What's his projection?
Tankathon has him 37.
Yeah.
No, we can go get him.
It's close.
Go get him. Go get him. And see, we can work together here.
I would just like to make a draft note. Never trade up in the second round. That's one of the dumbest things you can do in the draft.
Trading up.
No one trade up in the second round of the draft.
Nobody's trading up. Is he a point guard or are we doing the combo thing again?
He could shoot. I don't care. He's probably not a point guard.
So you like him better than Walter Clayton Jr.?
No, but I just thought we were talking about as of right
too.
now because they would be picking at 42nd. I'm not going to assume they're picking higher.
I'm just all right.
Walter Clayton Jr., I tell you this about him.
Am I sleeping on him?
Classic Kings pick.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Guy that sometimes I think the Kings do all their draft scouting. Somebody, maybe high up in the organization, watches the NCAA March Madness and goes, "That guy, we got to get him."
Yes. That is exactly. I gotta be careful. It's like my father. It's my father. My dad, he did the same thing. He watched one game, Johnny Manziel, and that was the year the Raiders took Derek Carr. Ow! Have you seen this dude, Johnny Manziel?
Yeah.
Raiders got to go get him.
Yeah.
And this season, you see this kid, Walter. Now, sometimes it works with Steph, the darling, but, wasn't Davion kind of the darling?
Well,
that whole team was kind of a darling. But
Davion was the best one of the group.
The whole team was kind of a darling, but that's my dad, man. Don't really watch sports. We watch the Final Four. Ow! They gotta go get this guy, man.
You know what you're describing right now is all the Kings fans during the playoffs who were like, oh my God, we got to get TJ McConnell.
Yeah.
My God, look how amazing.
Al, have you heard of this guy, TJ McConnell?
So you are the exact
like that.
opposite of your dad. Your dad watches the Final Four, looks at people, that players that everyone knows, and says, that guy, you're at the other end. You find these guys that nobody knows that have never played in any meaningful games.
Grant Nelson was at North Dakota State?
Grant Nelson.
From North Dakota State.
I'm still watching. I got 20 minutes of this film to get through.
There's 20 minutes of highlight on YouTube?
This is,
Who made a 20-minute Grant Nelson highlight tape?
I made that mistake. You guys remember a player named Jerian Grant? He's one of the Grants.
He was the 19th pick.
Whitey, you're not going to believe this. We actually talked about him earlier today.
Okay, because I remember looking at him and thinking, I wonder if he's any good, and looking at his mixtape. And I was like, hello!
Mm-hmm.
This guy's the best player ever.
What am I missing here? Like he must shoot 100% from three.
He must.
It's in that video. It's a 100%. It's a large sample size. It's 20 minutes of video.
Hey, I'm really excited. And you want to hear what's weird, Whitey?
Yes.
Your guy, Kobe Bray.
Yeah.
My guy, Grant Nelson. Both wore number 4 in college. That was my number in college.
Always
you
comes back to Allen. Yes.
You see what's happening here? We're building a platform of sustainable success.
When I look at Grant Nelson, the first thing I think of is that reminds me of Allen Stiles.
That's right. Yeah. Whitey, I'm just so excited. I can't wait to tune in to your show. You guys were on fire yesterday.
Fire.
Being reunited after all the poke that you had in Hawaii.
Did you hear me tell Jason Anderson that he had aggregated you?
No.
And I was kidding. I said it. I said, I'm kidding, but now you're aggregating Allen Stiles. What kind of world are we living in? And he said, I did not aggregate Allen Stiles.
Whitey, why would you say that?
I said it as a joke, and I said, I know, I'm kidding, but he had to make it clear. He's like, I did not aggregate Allen Stiles.
Wow.
I had my own reporting, which I knew to begin with, but I was just wondering if you had heard that.
I didn't.
And your buddy, your Grant Afseth imitator, keeps texting us like during the interview with Jason Anderson. Who is this loser? Tell him about my reporting on the Hawks.
That person,
signed Grant Afseth.
That person is, and as far as we know, is not him. That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, do what you love. I don't know what's coming up on the show. How are you following up yesterday's banger of a show, Whitey?
It's going to be difficult. We'll try to sift through. I mean, it will be difficult in the sense that we're going to try to figure out what's real and what's not.
Okay. How about we do this?
Yeah.
Let's just have some fun towards the end of the show. I'm not trying to affect your show, but kind of like the Jimmy Fallon thing where you have to sneak in words. You got to just bring up Grant Nelson. Just see what Draper does. just say, and I really like this Grant. Just see because he might say, I like him too. We don't know. You got to bring him up, Whitey.
We used to do that on our show, in our morning show in San Francisco. You'd have to, during an interview, you'd have to work in a word.
Right.
And if you got called on it,
then
there was a punishment. It was fun. But I was the only one that liked it. The other guys didn't like it.
Hey,
I loved it.
Just say, Drapes, some of the names that we've seen.
No, I'm not doing that, Alan. That's not happening.
I'll get Jay to do it.
Your guy should be, is it Juan Berenger? That should be your guy.
Why?
He's good.
Okay. Who's really
shot blocker who's rising, unlike your guy.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here.
His draft status is rising.
What's his name?
Juan is Berenger.
How tall is he?
6'11", I think.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
No, and I had heard about him too.
Yeah.
Juan.
Not Juan Berenger, yeah. Not the former Brave and Tiger.
Okay, I'm just double checking.
Berenger?
Yeah.
I can't get to him.
Yeah. It's Joan, Juan.
Oh. I see him. Jean Berenger from somewhere. Oh, where is that? Oh, France.
Yes. You love the French guys.
Big, long French
waves.
I need to take a break.
6'10".
I need to take a break after Tijan Salon.
Okay.
I didn't. Yeah, that was.
That one was the funniest though, because you were thinking, oh, this guy's going to sneak up on people. And then he got taken 8 picks before he was supposed to. And it was like, oh, okay, wow. I guess other people believe he's good. And then he's just not.
I can't find this guy. I gotta look it up. I can't find it.
Berenger.
Okay,
from Cedevita Jr.
Okay. Okay, well, we're rocking and rolling now. All right, Whitey, I'm ready to go.
Oh no! Don't watch his mixtape.
Oh.
He didn't know his name 30 seconds ago.
And where's he projected, Kyle?
18th.
Let's go.
He's moving up.
Now we have 3. We have a whole team now.
The Spurs supposedly like him a lot.
Oh, enough with
Well,
the
why
Spurs,
why
man.
would they like French
Oh,
guys?
you know what? We flew through this show so quick, we didn't even get a chance to bring up that De'Aaron Fox might not even sign his extension with the Spurs. You hear about that?
I thought you did. I thought I heard you talking about that.
We
maybe
touched on
you were
it.
mentioning that you were going to get to it.
We touched on it, but yeah, Kevin O'Connor saying, "Hey, I don't know if there's a world where with a Dylan Harper and De'Aaron Fox, if the Spurs move forward with both of them, they're not going to move De'Aaron. Right?
No, I wouldn't think so.
No. Do you think that
If it
they
was that
still
big of a
take?
problem, they'd just pull a Vlade and they'd draft somebody else there.
Right. Well, that's what I was going to say. Do you think they will go? We just really like Dylan, and we'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
This guy.
Where's your boy Ace Bailey going?
Man, that guy. Is he my boy because you feel like I would pull some stuff like that? Is that what you're saying? That?
I hadn't looked at it that way, but yes, now that you mention it, absolutely.
Well, now it's down to the Wizards.
So he said no to.
He said no.
He said no to the Sixers, the Hornets, and the Jazz. So I guess the next pick is the Wizards.
Yeah,
he said he probably wants to go to the Nets.
Yeah,
right?
he said that. That came out. He wants to go to the Nets.
But
the
he would have to
Wizards.
then survive the Wizards and the Pelicans to get to the Nets.
I saw something say the Hornets may trade. What do they have? The 4th pick, or they may just draft him anyway. That's what the wording said.
They should.
Yeah, the Kings were going to
Ridiculous.
draft Kobe anyway. Even though Kobe said he didn't want to come here, they were going to draft him.
Ridiculous, man. Ridiculous.
Do you know the fun Ben Simmons story with the Sixers where he was the number 1 pick and his agent was trying to get him to Los Angeles, and so they wouldn't give him the medicals and they wouldn't go work out because the Lakers had the 2 pick, and Sam Hinkie I think Sam Hinkie was gone. It was Colangelo at this point, was like, you could break your leg and we're going to take you with the 1st pick in the draft.
Yeah. What is wrong with these kids, man? Just go where you're supposed to go.
Right. Make the best of it, right?
Yeah.
It's not the way the world works, Alan.
No, it is. It is. All right. You go where you're supposed to go. You do what you're supposed to do. You know, if your grill is supposed to get delivered, it gets delivered on time. Did you hear me complain about my grill?
I heard it's delivered. You just got to put it together.
Well, I know. I paid for somebody else to do it.
And somebody else isn't showing up.
And they're not showing up. And, you know, you handle what you need to handle, man.
Yeah.
That's how it's supposed to go. Any guests today are just the 2 amigos. The 3 amigos.
Yeah, it's we don't have any guests scheduled as of yet, but things are happening.
Well, I
As of
better
yet.
keep my
Wink,
dial
wink.
on 11:40 a.m. Thank you for listening to the Allen Stiles Show. Thank you to the callers, texters, sack chatters. Great job, Kyle Ledbetter, as always. Great job, Jay Woods. We will be back tomorrow. Will the Kings have a 1st-round pick or not? Can't wait to find out. We're back tomorrow. Till then, secure the bag like the 1st-round beam.
Don't forget about my podcast.
Don't forget my podcast.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a